Name game.
Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme.
Name game.
Rissa. Rissa, rissa, bobissa, banana, fana, fofissa, fee, fi, mo, missa. Rissa, the name game. But if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name. Like Bob, Bob drop the B's, Bo, or Fred, Fred drop the F's, for red, or Mary, Mary drop the M's, mo, airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. Be right, be right, be right, bo, e right, banana, fana, fo, fee right, fee, fi, mo, me right. Be right, the name game. Woo! Hey everybody, how are you? I want to test something to see if I like it. Because I might like it, but I might not like it. I don't know. Does that even make a difference for me? Maybe, maybe not. I can't say. What if I do this? Hold on, hold on. How do I feel about that? No, that's not it. Something's weird, everybody. Something is strange. Right now, something is strange. What is it? Hold on, hold on.
Name game.
The name game. I feel like something is weird. But you can hear me though, right? So, yes. Come on, everybody. I wonder, what is this at? I think it's weird. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Gere, 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 bear, banana, fana, fo, fair, fee, fi, mo, mare. Gere, the name game. Woo! Hey, thank you everybody for those resubs. Also, I hope you notice our brand new emote that was made by Jer, one of our lovely mods in our emote maker, and I just love that. I love that crooner horn, that megaphone, because it looks so good. It looks like it's just made of shiny metal, for real, and not... See? But okay, but here's the thing. That right there, my friends, that is the treachery of images. That is what our postmodern vanguardist artists were trying to tell us with the pipe, right? We look at that and we think that it is a megaphone, but it's not. It's only the image of a megaphone, no matter how much it tries to seduce you into thinking that it is, but it isn't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Jer, the handle doesn't really show in dark mode. Oh, I've never really watched, I never watch anything in dark mode. I never know what it looks like because I'm such a light mode streamer. What does this look like? Dark theme. Uh-huh. Dark theme is so weird. Oh, hey, Artie. Oh, whew. So weird. Sorry. I never read in dark mode. I have things to tell you. Also, Artie Snack, hey, how you doing? I'm excited to show you all. Okay, but first I have to say something. It's really important. Did I say that I'm Trooper SAP and this is our mech game Thursday? And normally we play Disco Elysium, but I want to chat with you all because I just feel like there's going to be a lot of chatting. So I thought we could play Across the Obelisk, which is a roguelike that does not involve plot really. So, but it's Cher's birthday. Also, I was messing around with some stuff and I'm pretty sure I turned it off. Look, there's stuff going on and it's mysterious. And what is that? Look. I don't know what that is. My audio is weird. I cannot tell you why my audio is weird, but it is. My audio is weird. That's all I have to tell you. Anyhow, it's Jer's birthday. And Jer, is one of our mods and our emote maker and also super awesome. And so that means that Jer's gonna have to get birthday wishes. Not really, no. It also turn-based, so you can take all the time you want, not miss anything. This is what I'm saying. Although, actually, sort of, Disco Elysium is weirdly, vaguely turn-based. That's not the point. The point is, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. J. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jer. I love that cake. Yay! Look, I love it. I love it. So, also, I feel like I've got some feelings about this. I feel like I've got feelings. I got that feeling. Jim's, I got that feeling. Which James song is that? Which James Brown song is that? I got the feeling. Which James Brown song is that? Everybody, I'm going to be distracted if I cannot figure out which James Brown song that is. I got the feeling. Hawkeye, do you know? Somebody. Come on. I got it. I got that feeling. Speaking of which, by the way, I've turned on the song challenge channel points today so that, we're on our halfway point. We can do a song challenge. I've got the feeling. I've got that feeling. James Brown. Well, I think it's actually just a song, I've got that feeling. Duh. But, there's follow-up lyrics that I cannot remember, and this is distracting. It's just called I've Got the Feeling. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. I got the feeling. Hey, everybody. So, where are we at? I've got a lot of things to tell you that I want to talk to you about. So many things. And I figured while we're chatting, we could play Across the Obelisk because I feel like that would be a thing to do while we're talking about all the things. Bring us the 7-year Twitch. Hello! Time of Gifts, how are you? Yeah, it's been 7 years. It's been a while. Hey, I've got a lot of things on my mind, and I want to chat with you about all of them. So I figured we could play Across the Obelisk a little bit while we're doing it, because Across the Obelisk is a game. Also, I need to get Across the Obelisk. Where are you? There you are. Let's redirect you right over here, shall we? I feel like if we do that, you'll get audio. Yeah. I remember the 2-year Dragon Inquisition with the couch streams. Yes. Yes. Sorry for not ruining your life with deck building. No, you did. You ruined my life, Dahlia, with deck building roguelikes. But like, I can chat, right? Also, I'm gonna play Disco Elysium, but I just have a lot to chat with you about today, you know? And so I want to do that. So this is Across the Obelisk, a deck building roguelike. I've not played the Obelisk challenge or the weekly challenge. I've not done them, but I have played the adventure mode, which I feel we can just do right now. And we will do this while we chat about all of the things. Oh, I have a new character. Interesting. So when you play, I want to tell you some stuff. But when we play, like, you've got these characters you can play, and you can love, like, you've got like a warrior, a scout, a mage, a healer. There's a DLC which I don't think I don't know if I have that. Did I get my package? So you said there were 2 packages. One of them has come in, but the other one hasn't. The one that has come in is the t-shirt, which is brilliant, and I love it. And excuse me. Oop, don't go anywhere. I have to have the headphones on in case you tell me something. Not like I can hear you, but you know. So I got this t-shirt from Rissa for my birthday. I game past my bedtime, which I might do. That might be a true statement. That could be a true statement. So isn't it cool? And it's green, which is very nice because I like a good green. And not because I was in the army, but just because I like green. It's because of Robin Hood, basically, you know. Actually, it's probably more because of Flash Gordon than it is because of Robin Hood. But that's again not really the point. But thank you, Rissa. I love this. Yes, I love it. I have been streaming Outer Worlds since 2019, and we're like basically almost done, you know? Just basically. Almost. I mean, yeah. To be fair, I had a long dark in between Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds. That's true. I did. I love this. So, you've got perks, and I don't even know all of the perks. At the moment, I'm just sort of giving my tank lots of armor is really what I'm doing. So, you know, a lot of that. What does this do? To be done, you have to play the game. Oh, no. Oh, you can't see the game. What? Okay. Hey, Leona Maple, how are you? How are you? It is good to see you. Hey. Normally, I'm playing Disco Elysium right now, but I want to play Across the Obelisk so we can talk about all of the things. And this is not going to distract me from chatting, but I still will be technically playing a video game, so I will not feel bad. Just for the record. I'm doing well. I mean, it is hot. It is hot here. And I don't like that. But I've got a lot of thoughts in my mind, like a lot of thoughts about gaming, things I want to do, games I want to play. but I have not as much time as I would like. So, you know, I'm gonna just chat about it all. That's what I'm gonna do. What was the last? By the way, here, hold on. Every time I go out, I lose sound, but that's fine. I want to do a shout out. Oh, the Leona Maple. I have to tell you something. Oh my gosh, Leona Maple's super cool, really interesting, and I have. Okay, you know, I went to got this T-shirt to show you this T-shirt. I have to show you something else. It's really important, and it does involve Leona Maple tangentially, not really, but it does because I just read the Leona Maple and I thought about it, and now I need to share with you, and it's like a very me thing. So you'll have to see it. Give me 1 second. I gotta grab it so I can show you. You will you'll like this. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I'm hiding it so you can't see the thing that I'm gonna show you because I want it to be a surprise. Hold on. It's gonna be a surprise. Can't see what it is. I hope you didn't see. But I have to put my headphones on first because I always feel like you're gonna tell me something. Okay, are you ready? Guess what I bought? Are you ready? Wait, here. So I got this, and you're thinking, what is that? What is this thing? Right, I know that you're thinking this, and I will tell you what it is. Well, I'll show you. Are you ready? It's a mini donut maker, right? It's a little mini donut maker, and I made my first donuts. I'm going to show them to you. What kind of donut, you might ask, is this? Well, it is an apple cider donut with maple frosting, just like the Leona Maple. Not that Leona Maple has anything to do with apple cider. I cannot say that. I cannot speak to whether or not the Leona Maple is made up of apple cider, but is made up of maple. So they are baked rather than deep fried, but it doesn't matter. They're little mini donuts. I'm very happy about it. Mm. That gives me so much joy. I just wanted to share that with you, that I got that. Right? Yes. If you're mostly maple syrup, then it's good. I love maple syrup. I love maple. It makes me happy. And I have a little mini donuts. Right? Aren't they cute? And they're maple donuts. They're maple donuts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They are. Mm. And look at the color of this, right? It's so 1950s. I love that. Speaking of colors, if you remember the 80s, some of you do, some of you don't, right? Isn't that a great color? Isn't that a great color? I love that color. So I made maple syrup my last name because I am brown and Canadian and sweet. Okay, the Leona Maple, where in Canada are you from? I need to know. It's important. I'm not Canadian, but I still need to know. Artie's like, I was born in 1980. Vancouver. Okay, Vancouver, way out west, right? I've been doing all of this research for a musicological project that I turn into gaming, but about Africville in Halifax. Well, outside of Halifax, no longer exists. They destroyed it. But about sort of Afro-Canadians in the Maritimes. I've been doing a bunch of research on that, and I have a bunch of music, actually. I've been gathering and collecting music about the destruction of Africville because I want to write an article on it at some point when I have free time to write about things that are not my main academic thing that I have to write on right now. Don't worry about it. Ooh, gosh. Oh, you just reminded me. You just reminded me, everybody. Will you put, Jer or Rissa, will you put in the bunker? I need to respond to an email about the transgender article for the New Grove Dictionary because I wrote it. I wrote the article about transgender in music for the New Grove Dictionary, and they want to what's the word? They want to revise it. They want to do revisions of all the stuff dealing with gender and sexuality. And I got an email asking if I would be up to revising that article, and I have not responded yet. So I need to respond to say yes. So, but I'm going to forget. So, and because I did forget, and I just remembered. So if you'd put it in chat, in our bunker, put it in the bunker, so I'll remember that I need to do that tonight once we get off of stream. I have to remember to email back saying, yes, I will revise that article. So anyway, Afro-Canadians, did a bunch of research on them because I think it's super interesting. Yeah, West Coast, yeah. Do we have more subscriber badge slots, or do it only get up to 1 year? Apple cider maples. Oh, apple cider maples on my list for badges to make. Ooh. We get, I think that's such a good question. I think we're done with our subscriber slots, but we do have bits slots, but that's different. That's different. You're on the other side of the country in Ontario? Oh. Artie, I didn't know you were in Ontario. How many Canadians do we have? Hey, Anarch W, I love that. So, Ontario, right? That's the where the capital is, right? No, yes. Secretly, all the Canadians. Look, I love it. I was a kid, right, and I watched Anne of Green Gables, right, which is set on Prince Edward Island. We had one. So I'm a member of the American Musicological Society and the Society for Ethnomusicology, and also technically at the moment the Society for Music Theory, which I'm not normally a member of. Sometimes I'm a member of the Society for American Music. Sometimes I'm a member of the Society, the International Association of the Study of Popular Music, IASPM. Sometimes I'm a member of the German Studies Association. It just depends. Anyway, we had this big joint conference in Vancouver not too long ago, and it was really nice to be up. And it was my first time in Vancouver, and what a lovely city! What a lovely city! So okay. You knew Artie was Ontario because the SC was for Providence. Oh. You're in Hamilton. I'm not from Canada. I live in Finnish Lapland, Rovaniemi, specifically in the village of Marola. Oh. Oh. Hold on. You're in Finnish Lapland? Anarch, that's so cool. What is it like? What is it beautiful? Like, is the town you're from, like, is it very picturesque? I somehow imagine Finland being really picturesque. Also, the Finnish snipers during World War II were completely badass. Just side note, right? Pretend anyway. Nice. That's okay. There's apparently a lot of people thought it was South Carolina. Finnish Lapland is full of reindeer, but like the real reindeer, not the fake reindeer. The ones that drive Santa's sleigh. Leader says, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you had a good time. Vancouver's amazing. If you ever end up coming back here for a conference, let me know, and I'd be down to say it." Oh, I would love to. There was one sad thing about it. So that conference was kind of like a big deal for me because it was the very first. So I was at the time one of the co-presidents of the LGBTQ study group for the AMS, and the year before, right before I came out, the year before I became the president, there usually you do papers, right? And somebody had done some papers, and somebody did a paper that was like kind of racist. And like I was like, this is bad. So we decided we wanted to do something about sort of like race and queerness and the intersectionality. And what we decided to do is we got a grant from like the Social Sciences Research Council. Council was myself, the other co-president, and uh, a woman who's a professor over in Vancouver. And what we did is we applied for this grant. It was actually there's actually there are hold on, I can get a link. Hold on. If I don't know if any of y'all are really interested in super um what was it called? Um no, hold on. I'm gonna find it for you. It was called I think it was called Racing. Might have been like Racing Queer Musicology, maybe? Or Racing Queerness in Musicology. Or Racing, here we go. So I got it. I found it. So I'm gonna give you all a link. I'm gonna put it in chat. So we decided we wanted to do something to deal with right the intersections of race and queerness because the person who like the paper was it was a paper basically about drag queens who sang live, and they had the person who was doing it, he had some clips of these drag queens from the Boston area who were just doing really racist things. And we were like, whoa, what is up with this? This is messed up. And, and he was like, basically, it's not offensive if it's in drag. And you're like, that is offensive. So we wanted to do something about it. And so we applied for this grant, and then we put together something that had not been done yet for our conference, which was a pre-conference, so that people arrived. Normally the conference starts on Friday. It's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, although people will arrive on Thursday to do meetings. And so we started on Wednesday and Thursday, basically. We did this pre-conference, Wednesday, Thursday. We organized a bunch of stuff around, and it was called Racing Queer Music Scholarship. And here is, and for those of you who are Canadians, you might find this super interesting. So we had some really great keynote speakers. We had a bunch of papers and panels. And then we had some discussions, and then we had some musical performance by some sort of queer Canadians, and like really cool stuff. So if anybody is super, so we've got Leslie Uyeda and Hiroki Tsurumoto. Right, so we had some really cool performances there, and in case any of you is really interested in watching some music scholarship, you might not be, but you might be. I can't speak for you, but you have there's an interview with me, but it's not a paper. So my paper was not recorded, but there's like an interview with various organizers. So there's an interview with me in there. There's an interview with a bunch of other people who were part of the organizing process, and then there are a couple of different papers in there by a bunch of folks, and one of them is not so good. Tricky. So you've got two keynote papers, which are about an hour long apiece, and then you've got one, two, three, four, five regular papers, which are about a half hour, and then we have our concert performances. And if you were interested, and that was all done in Vancouver during our conference, right before the conference, and like I was really proud of all the work we did. You aren't going to be able to see all the papers, like you couldn't see mine, but it's fine. This is also from 6 years ago. But if you're interested, then, it's right there for you. You might be excited about it. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, Valtiel. Um, let's see. It's lots of forest, but go up north, there'll be a lot of tundra Finland being under ice for a really long time, give it a very biodiverse environment. Oh, that sounds really cool, Anarchdovey. Yes, the famous drag exception for racism, Krellin, people try to pull that. They really do. And I'm like, no. No, it doesn't do it. So isn't that like someone saying they couldn't be racist because they have a black friend? Yes, but even worse, because they don't even have a black friend. They just say they can do racist things. I'll be able to check that out. Thank you. Oh, no problem. If you're interested. It is, however, please note, that is a link to an academic conference. So it's some nerdy music stuff. Just forewarned. That said, there was one, what's the word? Regret. there is apparently in Vancouver, and when the conference happened, we couldn't go and see it. But there's a thing with trees, right? There are all these trees, like there's like a forest, and you can climb up to the top of it's like, I think it has to do with the university. Maybe not, or maybe it's like a national park, or it's both a national park that the university is doing, like the botanists are doing studies on or whatnot. But there are all these super big, huge trees, and you can climb up to the top of them where they do this sort of there's stuff going on. And I totally wanted to see the trees, but unfortunately, it was not the time of the year where we could go and climb up in the big, huge trees. Because climbing up in big, huge trees is basically my dream. It's my dream. Why is that my dream? Flash Gordon, obviously. Living in big trees. This is my dream. No, Leona Maple. It's like a during like certain times of the year it's shut down, and I do not remember if it's a national park or if it's a university thing or if it's somehow a joint thing between both. But there are these big trees, and you can climb up, and they do this like they're doing studies in there, right? And I wanted to be in the big giant trees so bad, but I could not go while I was not able to do that because they were shut down at the time. Yes, look into it, and then if you get to go, you should tell me. Also, because being under ice now causes land to rise, and we get a few more centimeters of land every year. Oh, interesting. So you will not be underwater. Running, jumping, climbing trees, putting Macmillan up there. Eddie Izzard, yes. Octavie says, one of our former port towns now longer isn't big on sailing anymore. The culture of sailing is dying out these days. Oh, wow. That's a bummer. I want to live in the canopy of the sequoias. Right, Silly Nathiel? See, you understand what I'm talking about. When I was a kid, I'm going to press a button and get another one of these. I'm going to get a initial energy +1. There we go. Right? Did it. See? Da-da! And I think that's this one. See, look, I'm being responsible. When I was a kid, the tree has since fallen, but when I was a kid, there was a big redwood that had a hole in the center that was big enough that you could drive a car through. And when I was a kid, right, usually, like, not like one of these big, massive sort of SUVs, but like a regular sized car you could drive through. And I've always been sort of obsessed, right, with redwoods, with giant trees. So both growing up by the redwoods, by the sequoias, and also Flash Gordon, where Prince Baron is up in the trees. Yeah, for a long time I've been obsessed with trees. Big trees that you can live in. And I just want to run RPGs where people live in trees. Really, that's really a thing I want to do. Maybe Stanley Park. Yeah. Yeah, it's either the UBC Endowment Lands or it's Stanley Park. One of those two things. But it was really cool, and I wanted to go, but I couldn't. I've been through the Sequoia you can drive through. Oh, really? Because I think it fell down. I like big trucks, and I cannot lie. No, it's true. I can't lie about that. That's a true statement. Oh, by the way, I feel like I was going to do something different because I'm playing the other person right now. It's fine. We'll just give this person some perks. Yeah. So I'm going to say something which some people, Leona Maple, you might understand. Some other people might understand, and some other people may not understand. So I grew up in San Francisco on the West Coast. And that's where I grew up. I was born in California. I was raised there. And I now live on the East Coast. And the East Coast is not the West Coast. No offense, I'm not saying anything. I'm just noting they're not the same. And I have been here on the East Coast since like 2008, 2009. And I went to Vancouver for our conference. And when I went there, I looked around and I said, oh gosh, there are Asian people here again, right? Because they're just like, I grew up with a really, really, like, there's diversity everywhere, right? You know, if you live in certain places, your diversity is going to involve lots and lots of Ethiopians or Hmong or like different like West Coast. Your Latinx people are going to be most likely Mexican, El Salvadorian, whereas on the East Coast they're more likely to be Cuban and Puerto Rican, maybe Dominican, right? So just they're just different styles of diversity based on immigration patterns. And I grew up with a really rich and varied Asian culture. And then I was on the East Coast that did not have that as much, not as visibly. And when I went to Vancouver for the conference, I was like, oh, yay. It's not just Chinese food,
Name
right?
game.
Like I can get specific things and I'm so excited. It made me feel like home because I grew up in Northern California, right? So it made me feel like home. It's a very sort of like a part of that Pacific Northwest sort of space. And I missed it. And I missed that particular I missed the weather. I missed the sort of the fog of it, the sort of climate of the Pacific Northwest. And it was just really nice to be in Vancouver because it reminded me so much of San Francisco. And it was just really nice. I was like, oh, there are restaurants that I recognize and there's the climate that I recognize. And it just was really, really, really nice. And I really liked, we walked around in Vancouver and I went to just random restaurants and there were great little hole in the wall restaurants. It was really nice. Vancouver was really great. I am a fan of it. I would love to go back someday. That said, the name game. I'm going to be distracted by this song. Here we go. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme. I bet, by the way, if you grew up in Texas, right, in the Southwest, you would get used to a certain kind of diversity that if you moved to the Pacific Northwest or the Northeast, you wouldn't get that particular kind of diversity and you might miss that too. So I'm not saying one is better. I'm just saying that there are different kinds of diversities and I grew up in one kind of diversity and then I missed it. And then when I came to Vancouver, I was like, oh, this is it. Oh, yes. Anyway, I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it what like, by the way. When I lived in Germany, there were lots of Turkish people, and you could go into Turkish restaurants everywhere. There were like Turkish restaurants everywhere, and like food carts for doner kebabs. And like I missed that too, because different immigration patterns, right? And here, where I'm at now, you don't have such a huge, massive Turkish population, so it's not the same. And I miss being able to go down and getting a doner kebab, and I kind of just I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. Like each place has its own kinds of immigration patterns and they each sort of bring about different sort of vibes. And it's cool. It's cool. Like here in Massachusetts, we have a lot of Cape Verdeans and that's really cool. That said, I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. More and will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Atomica, atomica, banana, fana, fofatomica, fee, fi, mo, matomica. Atomica, the name game. Thank you for that resub. You are here. Yay. Also, let me see what we got. Pacific Northwest is my favorite part of the US, right? It's a very, like there's a vibe is all I'm trying to say. And there's a weather. Like SoCal is not the same thing. And I like SoCal too, but it's different. It's hotter, less fog. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Let me see. I didn't go the last time I was in the area. I can't confirm or deny that the tree falling down. That's what I'd heard. Maybe it hasn't, but that's what I'd heard. Artie says, there's also the Pacific Rim National Park Reserve, which apparently has Chiwat Giant, which is the largest known tree in Canada and one of the largest in the world. Ooh, oh, that's cool. The coasts are very different. Yeah, Vancouver has a strong Asian community. And it was just like it was very cool. Anarch W says, in other news, I'm in a PF2 game, Pathfinder game, right now, and I randomly generated my character. Nice. I randomly generated their ancestry and background. I got a female goblin with mostly physical attributes with high charisma. We started level 0. I also randomly generated details of their backstory and used Cyberpunk 2020 to design their clothing style. I also used 2020 for their personality and attitude. Oh, that's cool. It's a play-by-post game? Nice. I used to do play-by-post using RPOL. I think Chrome was on a different one. But I remember play-by-post. Play-by-post was like sometimes super great, and then somebody would just stop replying. Welcome back. Anytime you got a friend in town. Thank you. I really should. Yeah, it was great. By the way, Leona Maple, this is a weird question for you. I would love your thoughts on this. Do you think? Okay. How do I frame this question? I have to give you backstory before I actually give you the question, which I know. I understand. It's ridiculous, but I have to do it anyway. Let me give you backstory so you can understand what I'm going to ask in this question. By the way, get things here. So, let's see. What is this? Mind damage. What is this? At the end of the turn, gain stanza 2. Stanza inspire. This hero can't gain stanza 3. Why would I want to do that? Stanza and all heroes increase all damage instead of only mind damage. Okay. Stanza 1 of this hero also gives 1 inspire at the end of the turn. Sure. Let's do that. That seems fun. So here's what I wanted to ask you. So I have a thing that I'm often interested in. I'm not sick of singing your name. I just started before I'd finished my thought. Like here in Seattle, yes, there are so many Somalians and not nearly as many Ethiopians as, say, St. Louis. Like someone played Immigrant Pachinko. Yes, right? I think that's interesting. Okay, so here's the weird... Oh, you got confirmed for your fall classes? Congratulations. What classes are you taking? So here's my question. I am really interested conceptually with the question of how do people imagine a place, right? So there are places and then there are imaginations of a place. When people think about New York, right, they often think, when people think about the United States, they often think about New York. When people say California, they often think SoCal. Like I remember when I was in the Army, and people would say like, oh, what state are you from? Because that's in the Army, you would always meet new people and ask them where they're from. One of the things you always do. It's like a pretty standard, where are you from sort of a thing. And I would always sort of, like, where are you from? I was like, oh, well, I'm from California. And one of the first things they would say is, oh, Los Angeles, Hollywood? And I would say, no, Northern California, San Francisco. And then they would say, oh, is that close to Los Angeles? And I would say, it is not. It's actually very far away. It's like 6 hours, a 6-hour drive. It's like 500 miles. And so one of the things I noticed that people's imagination of California tended to be beaches, surfing. It tended to be Southern California, and they didn't seem to have an imagination of the distance, right, between Northern California and Southern California if they were not from California, right? So that was like one of the things in terms of like imagination of a place. Let's see, English literature and public speaking. Nice. I am a fan of that. Sometimes people think about Texas. Oh yeah, sometimes they do think about Texas as well. That's also true. And so I've always been like really interested in what people's imagination of places are, just because I'm like fascinated by. Also, I think this probably ties into when I was younger. When I went to Germany, I knew a lot of Germans, and many of them went to the United States for their year abroad when they were in high school. And they told me that some of the things that Americans asked them, things like, do you have electricity in Germany or is it still bombed out? And they're like, no, we have electricity in Germany, right? So what is the imagination people have of different places, right? And in the US, there are sort of stereotypes and imaginations of Canada, things that you learn in school, or at least I did in my generation, many of which I know are not true, but I did not know at the time. Where are you from? Yeah, I never knew how to answer that question. Nowadays, I have to answer it in a complicated way because I'm not from New England. I'm from California, but I don't live there. Whatever. If media has told me anything about California, is that California sucks. uh, I love California. And my imagination of Australia is giant bugs. Right. So, for example, the imagination of Australia is giant bugs, deadly nature, and surfing, right? Right. What are these imaginations you get? This is like when people used to ask if I lived in an igloo when they heard when they heard I was from Canada. That's arty. Right. And like so from the United States, the imagination of Canada is this is at least mine, and I feel like I'm probably not the only one who has it, but that Canadians are very polite, right? That the Canadians are polite, that they're very friendly, that this was what we learned in school. What I learned in school in high school was that this is a weird thing to learn in school, but in Canada, they had a very good positive relationship with the indigenous people, unlike the United States, because in Canada, they were fur trappers. And because they were fur trappers, the relationship with the indigenous people was a completely positive one. And there was no violence and everybody was friends, unlike in the United States, which I imagine is just not true, but that's what we learned. And when I was in school, all about like Canadian beaver fur trappers. That was a thing that I learned. Um, don't I cannot tell you what that's about, but that is a thing that happened. Let me see. What else did we learn about Canadians? A lot of our nastiness was put into Canadian geese instead. Mm. Uh, Canadians are polite, but they will stab the F out of you. I never lived in one state more than 5 years into my 30s. Yeah. Once I lived in one state until 18, and then I was everywhere, right? People ask me if there are polar bears here. The answer is yes, in a zoo. Mm. Atomic says, I'm automatically from Boston when I say I'm from Massachusetts. The concept that there are other cities in Mass confuse people. Yes, but I also find that people from Massachusetts will just say they're from Boston even when they're not, which I always found a little bit weird, right? Yeah, Canadian geese are terrifying. Well, that's true. Atomic says, yeah, Canadians say sorry so much they had to pass a law that basically said apologizing is not admission of guilt. She says, pretty sure they all just drank maple syrup while riding moose and wearing mounted uniforms. Yeah, I think that's true. And sadly, no, Canada was terrible to indigenous people. I'm pretty sure it was, but I think it's interesting that that's what we were taught in the United States. So I was like, I wonder why we were taught this thing, which I cannot believe is true. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder why that was the story we were told. I don't know. That is false. Re-indigenous relations. Oh, I'm certain. Check out the Truth and Reconciliation Committee for Canada's wild anti-indigenous history. For chat, I'm a DEI person, so I encourage research. Right, but also there was that whole scandal that came out about the schools, right? The residential schools in Canada. And a friend of mine that I went to UCLA with was a doctor, and she was Canadian. She was down at UCLA to get her PhD. She had her MD already, and she was getting her PhD in like medical research stuff. And she worked in indigenous hospitals. So like I know as an adult that this is not true, but I thought it was interesting that that's what we were taught in school, right? That in high school, middle school, we were taught that about Canada. And I just think that's interesting. Like, I wonder why that was the story, that the imagination they were giving us about Canada. You know? There are probably people in Canada that used to pass it off as, well, at least weren't as bad as the US. Oh, the US is often the people use the US as like projection or distraction all the time. When I was like, hey, friends, you also were not that great. So maybe think about that some, you know, just maybe you could do that. Just ponder it. I mean, you don't have to, but if you wanted to. Yeah. To be fair, some of the great crimes are adorable. Like the great Canadian maple syrup heist of 2012. Okay, that sounds interesting. Thank you. I was pretty sure Canadian Indigenous history is rather rough. Yeah. It's very common for people to perceive Canada as nice and sweet and peaceful, but I just don't think actuality and fantasy are different, right? Everyone sucks here. We did invade the U.S. and burn part of the White House. The United States also did invade Canada twice and failed during the American Revolution. We invaded twice and we lost. We don't tend to learn that in U.S. history, but it's true. There's plenty of shame to go around in North American indigenous religions. Yeah. So Canada has maple syrup reserve. That way their market doesn't crash if they have a bad production year. Oh, that's interesting. I think we also invaded in 1812. Yeah, but yes, during the American Revolution, we invaded twice. Didn't work out well for us. Though friends of mine jokes that I have like stereotypical Viking from fantasy entertainment and daily beat seals with food with a club. Right. So here's my question for you. This was my question. So with all that background about like imaginations, Leona Maple, what is your perception of the imagination of Vancouver, either in Canada itself and or outside of Canada? Do you feel as if Vancouver gets thought about a lot or not thought about a lot? What do you like? What is your sense of the perception of Vancouver, and what do you think about that? That was my question that I wanted to know because that seems interesting to me. Um, they had a boom year and rented out public storage like a U-Haul storage warehouse. Oh. And some people found out and rented the neighboring storage space and drilled a hole into Maple's server storage. Oh, wow. Krell says, I like how Trooper said he could play the game while chatting it. He's just chatting, Trooper. You cannot. Humans are single thread process. Oh, no, I'm totally. This part just involves more thinking than the other part. That's all. But I'm totally going to multitask any second now. Like, it's just like I'm right on the moment of multitasking. Like, it's almost even there, right? I think we'll do that. I probably could have done other things, but we'll just wait. There was a thing that I wanted. It was a thing that gave me. Wait. Hold on. It was not this. No. What was I? What did I do? No. I wanted to unperk something. I was gonna unperk something. Wait. Yeah, no. Do you want to close the... Yes, accept that. I want to go back into it. Did I actually just use those perks? I did. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give... It's fine. I didn't actually want to... I didn't want to... I wanted to reset, but it's fine. It's fine. We don't have to worry about it right now. We're not going to use this person at the moment. Or maybe we should, to see what this new person is like. They've got a lot of holy stuff. Healing, barriers, holy damage, some fire. Nah. We're going to go and play with our people. Okay. See, look. Multitasking. Well, I'm reading chat. Apparently, I don't need stands on the archer, apparently. Every time you say you can multitask, just encourage me to call out when you fail to multitask. Oh, I fail to multitask all the time. I am not an ideal multitasker, but sometimes I can multitask more than others. I just think that some things are just not when I can do that. I'm going to go and give them cards, equipment. They stole about 3K tons of maple syrup, about $18 million worth. Wow. Artie says, also for many years, Vancouver was a stand-in for so many U.S. cities, as there was a lot of TV shows filmed there. I thought there was a lot of Toronto. Has it moved? Although Anarchy says, you told me that seals are protected animals here and only live in Saimaa, which is southern Finland, and I live very, very far away from there. Yeah. Lena says, I'm not sure what the rest of the world thinks of Vancouver, but I think the rest of Canada views Vancouver as a very expensive, cannabis-laden place, very California-ish vibes. And that's not entirely wrong. Just a big homogenous, yeah, a bit homogenous. I think the rest of the world sees Vancouver as a tourist spot and like a place with beautiful views, and it's all of that too. Mm-hmm. Atomica says, I think most foreigners get confused when they find out the Midwest Canada has cowboy culture. Yeah, but like I knew because there were a bunch of really cool Canadian country singers. Also, uh, one of the reasons. Hold on, I'm going to. Uh, I'm going to get for my healer this silver chalice to get some healing going on because healing is important. I'm also going to get for Sylvie these lock picks because lock picks are great. And I will also give what? I've got a pet, a bunny, which gives a hurry up. So we're gonna go and give Sylvie this bunny, and then I think I'm out of money. So then we're gonna go. We're gonna leave. I've got money that I earned from the last time, but I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna go and head out so that we are technically playing the game while we chat. You know, with the chatting. I don't know what these things are. These seem to be character events, and that seems fun and cool. So let's do this one, which means we have to go here. We'll go this way. Okay. I think Vancouver is a place with a castle that Michael Sarah fought Chris Evans at. Yeah, I think that's true, right? Isn't that how that works? But this is not disco. No disco. All panic. The Leona Maple says Vancouver is Hollywood North with a booming film industry. We serve as stand-in for New York and Toronto all the time. So then what's the difference between the Toronto film industry and the Vancouver film industry? Because I feel like Degrassi was filmed in Toronto, right? So what's the difference between those two things? That's what I want to know. BC gutted their film credits, so a lot of filming has moved to Toronto and Montreal and other places. Oh, interesting. Artie says, I just remember that Continuum Primeval New World being filmed and set in Vancouver was very rare. Atomica says, I'm lucky to have many Canadian friends. I annoy them every Canada Day by posting a video of Kevin Smith teasing Canadians from the Clerks cartoon. Oh, RuPaul's Canada's Drag Race, right? Leona Maple says, yeah, stuff being set in Vancouver is rare, but it's historically been film industry friendly. Still a fair bit going on, but definitely may have shifted. Oh, interesting. People have described Alberta as basically the Texas of Canada. Oh, yeah, I've certainly heard that. I was going to tell you about this band. Don't let me forget. I have a lot of film industry friends, so maybe I'm biased. Fair. Almost all the sci-fi shows were filmed there, right? Wasn't Defiance filmed there? Yes, no? Yes, no? Calgary's very country. The game is making me fight. It looks like angry sheeps. No, these are angry murder sheeps is what this game is going to make me fight. New Mexico also has a growing film industry. Strange New Worlds is filmed there. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. DSB says, I can say on the East Coast, especially New England, most people think all of Canada is just Toronto, Niagara Falls. On the West Coast, people refer to Canada and Vancouver somewhat interchangeably, which has led to simultaneous merging of the two in my brain. Yeah. The goats know what they did. I think a few of those DC live action shows from the CW were shot in Vancouver. Yes, that's right, Valtiel. That is correct, right? Like the Arrow, all that stuff, that was all Vancouver, right? All the Stargate shows, Supernatural, a lot of the CW shows, Psych were all filmed there. Was Defiant filmed there? We're gonna enrage, so we get to draw a card, and that little gold circle is our how many power points we have. And my little fighter dude is going to mostly our fighter dude's all about defending people, like just lots of the time. We're just gonna kill this sheep. Just kill the sheep. Just get rid of it. Also, they can be very deadly. If you notice in this game, by the way, so that's like one of our sheep, and there are these cards, and those are the cards that they have. I cannot clearly see what they're going to play, but I'm going to find out right now what they're going to play by using my rangers up. So this person is going to deal some brain damage, and this person is going to go and defend themselves. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can dispatch this person before. Um, I think I made a bad choice there, but that's fine. The sheep are going to go and harm us now, so this will be our life. To be fair, something like 90% of Canada's population lives within 20 miles of the US border, so those cities are most of Canada. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, Defiance might have been Toronto. Oh, Atomica, what is your exciting RP news? Lost Girl was filmed in Toronto. I'm going to, by the way, we're going to... So these sheep don't like fire, so that's great. Let's just fire on the sheep. Let me also just get rid of that sheep. Let me also give some love. Just do a little bit of sheep murder. These sheep are dangerous. I'm not picking on them. Like, I just need you to know that they are indeed very, very dangerous. So in case you thought that I was picking on people who were too easy to pick on, I was not. Because the sheep are dangerous. They're murder sheep, which you can tell because they have flowers on them. Let's just kill the sheep. Oop, okay. Great. Awesome. I wanted to tell you all something. Oh, there was something I wanted to tell you. What was it? Dangerous sheep. Pull the other one. I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Atomica, what's your RP news? I know that I got to visit the set from Winning Hondas. Oh, neat. Carl, yes, I was talking about my own mental merging of Toronto and Vancouver as I moved from east to west coast. People talked about Canada using the same words but referred to two different cities. Atomica says, I had a player leave my campaign 2 years ago because he got a new job and child. My campaign is now in its last chapter. His life stabilized to the point he asked if he could rejoin. His very first action was saving another player by firing the killing blow to the god of trickery, emerging from the shadows in pure badassery. Oh, that's cool. We were able to keep it hidden and surprised all my other players. Okay, that is awesome. We're gonna just kill the sheep. So, generally speaking, right, my warrior is very defensive. This scout does like songs and a lot of range stuff. My wizard, a lot of energy, elemental stuff, and then my healer is doing healer things, clearly. And after each combat, you can get new cards, and I'm going to take this Inner Fire, which will give them fire damage, but give them this big bonus for dealing damage and healing. I will take this Song of Celerity for some speed. I will take the Fire Blast, and let's just take some Steel Skin for more defense. I need to be able to tank some, which I cannot currently do, but we will get there. He's one of the main reasons my campaign initially stood away from Murder Hobo territory. Oh, so you didn't build a healer who doesn't heal? Aneo will be disappointed. That's true. Aneo likes to build healers that don't heal. What kind of loser healer heals? Laura Bailey is disappointed. I know everyone's disappointed. Speaking of RPGs, I was playing a cleric in this. One of my favorite D&D campaigns was an Eberron campaign, and it was really good. I mean, it was still a bit more. There were a couple things, right? I could have had a little bit more RP, but it was a pretty cool initial setup. In Eberron, there's a kingdom called Seer that was destroyed, and this great something happened and destroyed Seer, and like no one goes there now because there's like a magical fog of badness and badnesses. So the concept was that we were all part of a noble court that was right on the border of Seer in another place, and we'd gone out of Seer to go and like look for a dungeon. We were on a mission, right? And of course, while we were gone, this magical apocalypse happens, and our entire uh, kingdom is gone. So one of my friends played the eldest child of this noble house. It was like a minor noble house, like a barony or whatever. The eldest child. So she was the warrior, the firstborn, who was supposed to like take over. And I was playing the secondborn, so I was playing a cleric because the firstborn is a warrior, the secondborn goes to the church. And then we had like the magical advisor, right? The vizier. We had a bunch of different sorts of folks in that particular campaign. Um, if we're sharing RPG stories, my Dark Heresy Inquisitor cell just averted a sector-wide civil war. Ooh, how? We're going to confront. Let's see, the lost sheep. You see a small sheep running towards you and away from a group of sheep that look angry. The poor sheep hides behind you, seeking shelter from the other sheep that were chasing her. You notice that this sheep has a necklace with the name Betty. On the necklace, it also says the owner's address is Eastern Farmland. The other sheep are likely to attack you if you don't walk away from Betty. You can try to return her to her owner or ignore it. Yeah, we're going to go and try to protect Betty from the evil sheep. We're going to confront the sheep and then return Betty to her owner. After the fight, you will have to cross the fields to the north to be able to return Betty to her owner. We're going to try to, we want to be helpful with the whole situation. By the way, I think I screwed up real badly, everyone. I did. I screwed up really badly. I did not want to give the bunny. I screwed up really badly. I gave the bunny to my scout, but my scout already had an animal, and I did not. That was a mistake. That was a mistake because when you get a new animal, it destroys the old one, and so now I do not have all of the animals that I would like to have. I messed up. I just want you to know it. And that's just I messed up. Sorry. I'm the worst. Uh the worst. Um Let's see. He was sent to kill a creature that had been disrupting the slums of the city. He found a small abnormal griffin, raccoon head, fox body, vulture wings. He declared it was a trash griffin, tamed it, named it Leaska, and became a permanent party feature. Oh, wonderful. Artist says, I need to come up with some side stuff for most of my players to do since we are missing one this Saturday, and I don't want him to miss out, so we're going to go back in time a little bit. Yes, yeah. Hawk is like, trying to pet for Gen Con, and my dice pack. Oh no. Yeah, I actually feel you in a very distressing way. I'm worried about it. We're gonna just charge some batteries, have some elemental guards, and we're gonna frostbolt some sheep. Who doesn't like that? You murdered an animal for the sake of another animal? Yes. Silly says, I thought first son was heir, second son was military, the third son was monk. If you go back, see, Silly, if you go back early enough, first son being the heir is to be military, right? Because if you go back into the early Middle Ages, the job of the baron or whomever was to actually be the military person, or was to run, which is actually why the King of England is the head of the British military as well. So you would be like, the eldest would be trained. I think later they've sort of like, they changed it later, right? But in the early times, that's what your job was to go and do that, right, was to be the military person. I'm just going to go and give people protection. Yes. That's not butter, that's dinner. Thank you, Volpes. Do you see how that sheep just attacked me? I hope you saw that. It was very distressing to me how violent that sheep was and how oppressed I feel by that sheep. The total war currently occupying my finale is going well. One side is destroying more troops, but the opposing side has managed to win a few more duels and captured a few enemy officers. So it's like blunt force versus surgical strikes. DSB says, an urban fantasy author I read that made trash griffins a face species, and they are half raccoon, half pigeon. So your story made me chuckle. I'm into it. We're gonna... It also sounds like that bunny is heir to the other pet. Yeah, I sorry, messed up. Carlin says, the head of the local Mechanicus is mad that his planets got bombed in the crusade that reclaimed the sector from heretics. Fair. And wants to take over himself. So he's been trying to collect ancient AI technology from the period when AIs tried to kill all of humanity to wage war with. We infiltrated the illegal auction he was going to buy the tech at and bought it ourselves. That's good. Putting the feudal in feudalism. Carlin says, but now my Frankensteinian battle nun is going to have to deal with the fun mental fallout of spending the past 24 hours impersonating a Drukhari when the Drukhari are the ones that Frankenstein were in the first place. Ooh. Yes, I like that. Help, I'm being oppressed. Bloody pleasant. You hear that? Corruption of the system. Yes. That was Atomica. Volpa says, yes, you farm younger heirs off to arms after the church to keep him busy and not hanging around to spend the family money, so to say. Yes. And, yeah, because I think that if you go back early enough, right, most nobles were just basically people who had horses and good weapons, right? Very different from the later sort of model of nobility. But here's the thing. One of the players, who's a good friend of mine, actually, was playing a bard who worshipped. So in Eberron, there's like the main pantheon of the seven, and then there's like these outer gods, of which most of which are evil, but one of which is not, one of which is neutral, like a traveler. And my character, how can you tell he's nobility? He's the only one who ain't got shit on him. Yep. Curlin says, you become king. You became king by conquering land and then beating everyone that told you couldn't conquer that land. Yep. It was only much later that God and religion and divine right inheritance entered into it. Yeah. And of course, nobles were the ones who were allowed to have weapons, like martial weapons, and get trained in them. And they tend to have the best food, so they got to be like bigger and stronger. And they were the ones who were like going to be the cavalry and the knighthood, where all the peasants were just like cannon fodder. But what was really cool is that my character was this is about religion and healing. My character was a sovereign speaker, was the prestige class. And sovereign speakers do not worship only one god, they worship the entire pantheon. And in that belief system, they believe that all gods are basically avatars for the seven. So they kind of believe that everybody believes in their gods. So they're kind of cool with everybody, except sort of like the outer gods. So anyway, healing, right? I'd be like, I'm the healer. Let me come and heal you. Let me come and heal you. Let me come and heal you. But I would never just say, oh, yeah, I cast, greater healing on that person, minor healing on that person. Yeah, somewhat Hindu-esque. Yes, absolutely. And Wizard Style says, I think when you look at both Europe during the rise of Francia and then later during the Crusades, a lot of events were catalyzed by these nobles who had weapons and saw lands and taxable cities to seize. Yep. So I would never say like, oh yeah, what I would say is, do you accept the blessings of the Sovereign Seven? And if they accepted the blessings of the Sovereign Seven, then I would give them healing. And so it was always a little bit of proselytizing, like low-key proselytizing, like, hey, let me heal you with the do you accept and receive the blessings of the Sovereign Seven? And everyone was like, oh yeah, sure, right? Because they were not necessarily RPing. They were like, yeah, I need healing, yeah, sure. But the one my friend was like, no. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, no, I don't care about the Sovereign Severin, and I'm kind of irritated with them, so no. And I was like, well, yes, but let me just give you the love of the Sovereign Severin to heal you. And he was like, no, I'm a bard. I've got some of my own healing. No, that's fine. And what was interesting is that I loved it. I thought it was great. But some of the other players who were kind of min-maxers were like, no, you have to take the healing so that we can be all maxed out. So when we go to the next combat, we'll be most efficient. And he's like, my character would not accept the blessings of the Sovereign Seven. Screw that noise, right? And I thought it was pretty great. And like, you know, we all got around it in the end. But I appreciated that I wanted to play a cleric who's like, I mean, first edition AD&D, you get your upper level spells, like lower level, like 1 through 3, I think is just, you just get those. But then like 4 and 5, you get from like angels of your god, right? Like avatars of your god. Once you get to higher level spells, you get them directly from your gods, right? Directly. So I wanted to really sort of think about what does it mean to play a cleric who is directly getting magical powers from their gods directly, right? And just sort of thinking about, right, being a cleric for whom healing isn't just like a spell you toss off, but actually like channeling the gifts of the divine outwards. Like it's like a form of a miracle in certain ways. And so I did, because I thought that people often play clerics not particularly religiously when, you know, they're clerics. And I love that he was like, no, absolutely not. I thought that was really great. And I loved it. Some of the players who were only there to min-max did not love it, but I thought it was pretty great. I thought it was pretty awesome. Seizing land being a weird concept at the time, of course, because borders weren't enforceable. Yes. RP sneak attack. Lita, come up with that RP. Yes. Sneak attack. Oh, yes. And it was such a little. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I should get some. Let's take a ray of hope. That seems good. Let's get some. Let's get a heat wave going on. Let's have some kind of range attack. Let's have a quick shot because that's cheap, and let's do some burning blood. I don't know how great that's gonna be, but let's do it. We also want to find some eastern farmlands to like drop off. That's where Betty's is. I want it to go this way. Oh well. Well, we're not gonna do it now. We're gonna just go up here. That's it. Vulpes says, I always think of the old Robin Williams bit for that. Reverend Badass Holy Church of Comedy. Do you want to feel the power of comedy? Reach around the back of your TV. Shock your ass across the room. Somebody got to laugh. Yeah. Crow says, I should play an Eddie Izzard-style Church of England cleric sometimes. Keiko Death. Oh, that would be really fun. That would be a fun concept. An Eddie Izzard-style Church of England cleric. That would be fun. That would be very cool. I suppose you could also do a paladin. Perhaps. Cake, please. Death. No, I mean cake. Sorry, I meant cake. But you said death. Yes, but I meant cake. Well, all right. I feel like we're gonna remove cards from our deck. So now we have possessed evil farmers that want to murder us. Just to put it out there. I'm going to rend them and gain defense. You're lucky I'm Church of England. All right. Eddie Izzard is so great. I think they're awesome. We're going to just do a little bit of camouflage. Good, done. Or do a druid to leave the gas on. Of course, I'm not a bloody squirrel. Hey, Atomica. We only bought 3 bits and didn't think there'd be such a rush. Yeah. No flag, no country. Let us attack. What are these things we got? We've got what? We've got a bunch of barber cuts, which seems bad. They're just going to be putting out a lot of damage. This person heals. So I feel like we need to attack this person in the back, because this person in the back does heals. And we want to get rid of them as soon as possible. Uh, yeah. Uh, so I did splashy splashy. I figured she would do the chasey chasey, but but I swept the boy like she's like shocky shocky. Yep, yep. Krillin, I find it interesting what they do with the magic in the D&D movie. Oh, what did they do? No one had spell slots, and everyone had a clear domain. Only the sorcerer did spells. The druid had wild shape, not spells. Oh, interesting. I imagine it's probably too complex for a lot of people. I assume. Probably. Let's see what. Okay, we're going to kill this healing farmer because healing farmers, you know, are frustrating. And there. So you basically get cards, you play them, they go into your discard pile, circle, rinse, repeat. Well, he's not doing well. I had a cleric paladin in a dragon heist campaign, says Australis Plays, who had the inspiring leader feat that gives him temporary HP, and narratively the other characters had to listen to my cleric preach about the glories of Helm for 10 minutes. King of Brundi? Yeah, the bard wasn't even a bard. He was a rogue. Oh, cool. Maybe not even with instrument proficiency. Okay, okay. When the King of Brundi asks if you want a cup of coffee, you're not supposed to be all, I'm in here. Did you actually play it out or just hand wave it? Oh, interesting. So let's intercept. I can't believe I messed up with that. I messed up the situation with my pet, and I'm so sorry because it's sad business right there. Let's attack this one. And then let's do that. And then let's do that. And then we only have a very dangerous sheep left, apparently. I feel like we should probably give this person more power in a card. We'll just charge our battery a little bit with our sheep. And I have no idea what our sheep is going to do on their turn, but let's get more defense. Oh, I did 6 second speech every time I did it. I was thinking about this, right? I was thinking about there was a question on Reddit, a person doing their master's thesis on actual plays, and I feel like the question they asked was not. The question had a lot of assumptions baked into it that I wish they would have thought about, so I did like some talk about it. They said, hey, everyone, I'm looking for actual plays that are rules light. You know, they ignore the rules and don't use them, like Dungeons and Daddies, right? Where they don't use the. It's like it's all combat, not role playing, and they just ignore the rules. And I was like, okay, so there are a couple of things in here. There are a couple different data axes that you're conflating into one. Rules light versus rules heavy is one thing. Whether or not you emphasize the rules or obscure the rules or ignore the rules is a different thing. And then whether or not it's combat or non-combat is also a third thing. And you could have very RP heavy combats or not. You could have a game that is very rules light, but you are very forward with the rules and let the people know what the rules are, and you don't ignore them. You could have a game that's very rules heavy that you do ignore the rules or not. Like, so basically that there's a difference between playing Pathfinder and just ignoring all the rules, or playing it but editing out all the rules so that the person who's listening to it would have no idea that there's an RPG going on. But that's not the same thing as a rules light system. And so I kind of was like, I want you to sort of think about the difference between a rules light system versus versus a rules heavy system, obscuring the rules for the audience, for the players, or not, and also maybe not conflating RP with non-combat. Right? That's just some thoughts. Just some thoughts. Do come in. You're the only one today. Now, the summon today is taken from a magazine that I found in a hedge. Now, lipstick colors this season are in the frosted pink area, and nail colors to match. And this reminds me rather of our Lord Jesus, because surely when Jesus went to Nazareth on a donkey, he must have gotten taught up a bit. I like my women like I like my coffee, with a spoon in them. Let's get a barrier. Let's get oh, hey, mana shield seems fun. Let's try to get some blur, seems exciting, and let's do repair armor. Let's just get some healing. And oh, we get to so it's a deck builder, so we get to remove. I did a special thing so I can remove cards from this deck. I'm going to remove a fast strike because my tank is a little bit less attacky. I'm going to remove blur, camouflage, falcon shot, quick shot. I've got a lot of quick shots, so maybe I could get rid of one of the quick shots from this one. Our mage has got a whole bunch of stuff in there, but why don't we get rid of one of the fire blasts? I'm still sad about that pet. Reginald, let's just get rid of one of our foresights. It's cheap, but I feel like we don't need to have that many of them. And I think we need to give give the sheep back to its owner. Betty returns safely. You arrive at the eastern farmlands with Betty intact when a farmer approaches you and says, "Ooh, you found Betty. Thank you so much, strangers. Even being so small, she is my favorite sheep. I won several local contests with her. I wonder how she got away. I don't have much gold, but might be interested in hearing a rumor as to where the legendary golden sheep might be. What do you want as a reward? I don't want any extortion. I don't want any bargain. I don't want to murder anyone. Let's just accept the legendary golden sheep rumor. As the locals know, the legendary golden sheep is a magical sheep that appears rarely with other grazing sheep and protects them. The sheep has golden wool, and no one has ever been able to catch it, but his wool could be worth a lot of money or be useful to craft magic items. This morning, while I was looking for Betty, I seemed to see the golden sheep on the grass hill behind the tower. It is most likely that it's still there." Well, thanks. Here, right? So I suppose we're gonna have to go to the golden sheep hatch. Oh. So this stream next week is going to be a Baldur's Gate 3 stream as it goes to full release this week. No, because I can't play Baldur's Gate 3 yet. Because Baldur's Gate 3 is like a full game. Next week is Disco Elysium. I'm just taking a little break so we can chat about all the things. But next week is Disco Elysium. No Baldur's Gate. Because I have to finish Disco Elysium first. Then Baldur's Gate. Such a great clip. Excuse me while I left up Rorsay. Trooper, play a new game? I totally will. It's just not going to be yet. The Hatch. You come across a house in ruins, and I have things to tell you, by the way. I forgot. Bicycle. And inside you see a large hatch. You try to open the hatch, but it is properly closed. A few seconds later, a voice speaks to you through the hatch. Only those touched by the flames. Then the voice remains silent, as if waiting for a passphrase. What do you want to do? I can either leave, because I don't know. I'm going to try to open the hatch. I don't think I have I think this will be very difficult, but I have to try to make it over 5, and my numbers aren't great. Nope, I failed. You've taken too long to find a way to open the hatch. You hear how the people inside reinforce the hatch after not hearing the answer passphrase. You don't want to waste time anymore here and leave. I'm so sad. I could have had like an exciting hatch situation, but I made the wrong choice. Baldur's Gate 2, 2029. Right, where only plays new games once they become old games. Right, I mean, you don't, like, that would be just too terrible, right? If you just playing new games when they're new. What is that? if Trooper starts the Baldur's Gate trilogy playthrough today, 2029 is realistic. If I were going to do something like that, maybe I'd do like a marathon or something. Like I would do like a marathon kickoff, maybe. Where I do like 12 hours of Baldur's Gate or something. That would at least kick me off. I'd get some progress. The Golden Sheep. You reach the grass hill behind the tower. By the way, I took a voice acting class a couple of weeks ago. It was great. I would like to take more. I don't have time. As the farmer told you, there's a group of sheep grazing, and among them you see a larger sheep with golden wool. It was interesting what they said about my voice. It was fascinating. That must be the legendary golden sheep. You don't know if it's rare enough to call it legendary, but one thing's for sure. That sheep's wool looks like it will be really expensive. If you want to catch it and kill it, you will only have one chance before all the sheep run away. How do you want to approach them? Well, my person says they can shoot her down from here with the bow, so let's try it. Sylvie concentrates for a moment and shoots an arrow that hits the golden sheep, which dies instantly. The other sheep flee in terror. As you leave, you take the opportunity to pick up a few magic shards from the hill. Well, that was easy. I suppose that's because I had the right character? I have golden wool. Okay, well, I suppose we go here, the soldier trainer. It's an uncommon event. I don't have any money. Okay. Let's see. Baldur's Gate 3 isn't particularly narratively connected to Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which is fine. Oh, interesting. Atomic says, Trooper, I was gonna play Rainworld after Outer Worlds. It's true, I am. 3 years later and Outer Worlds is still going. But I'm so close to finishing Outer Worlds. Like I really am. I just have to finish this DLC and then do the end game. Like I'm so close. And we're gonna be playing on Saturday, so it'll be great. Wizard says, I'm glad it isn't. BG 1 and 2 is a finished story. Not that Throne of Ball was the best thing to ever be released, but it was a grand finale. Australis says, I have a theory that the last archetype that they announced for BG3 might be tied to BG 1 and 2. 12-hour marathon, we might make it out of the character creation then. Schmelzer, I feel like you see me. Trooper, I want to post that gif of Thor going, is he though? Yeah. As you go around the tower, you see a man with a wooden sword practicing some movements. When you approach, he speaks to you. Hello, adventurers. Perhaps you are interested in some combat training. I can teach you one of my special defense moves for 200. If you all want to learn it, it will cost you 1,000 gold pieces. I used to train young soldiers in this tower, but since the war ended, I'm out of work and short of money. Well, let's have our take cover. Yeah, let's have our tanky person learn it. Because that seems like a good thing to do. We now can either go up to healing or down to story time. Let's do that. Well, story time. In the forest, you found a large open space that seems like the perfect place to rest a bit before continuing your journey. As you go to set up camp, you notice a group of werewolves camping. They see you and offer to share the camp. One of them also says to you, Hey, do you want to share some stories from your travels with us while we rest? Do you want to share their camp and tell them a story? Yes, let's... I'll tell them a story about the Wolf Wars. I hope they don't recognize me. We need a defense card. We failed. Nope. Magnus tests the waters and begins to tell a story. Unfortunately, he tells them that he fought on the side of the kingdom. That's when the werewolves recognize Magnus and pounce on him. Quickly, you join Magnus and the fight continues. Well, that didn't work out well. We're going to be fighting werewolves, everybody. Which is not great. Once he gets in, he starts gathering every little thing. The first dungeon takes 3 weeks as he makes multiple trips to gather everything. Well, but I mean, if there's stuff in there, you might need it. You know, that might be important. Werewolves. A wild werewolf. We're going to just stop that. We're going to go and ruin their speed. We're going to attack the first one, defend, hit, end. Boom. Easy. Werewolves. They're wolves. Werewolves. They're wolves. Let us shoot a monster. This one. Let's throw some vigilance on there so we can see what they're going to do. This one is going to grant armor, attack. This one's going to gain some damage, get some speed. That's a problem. This one's going to... Okay, so our rear one is a healing person, so we need to take care of that. Let's work on that last person in the back, because don't like it. Gank the healer. Aren't they windwolves or Y-wolves? Oh, you have your dice back. Good, good. Rufus says hi. Hi, Rufus. At least they aren't windwolves or Y-wolves. Woot. The worst are how-wolves, whence wolves, wherefore wolves. I'm glad they surfaced. I have never found my Crown Royal bag. I have never found it, and I found that quite distressing. Let's just we're gonna attack this one a lot. I wish that I could I just don't think I'm gonna be able to kill it, and that makes me sad. But, and I also have only heals. No bueno, everybody. Well, we'll do that. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. The Royal Crown dice bag. Everyone's had, yeah, I did. But, oops. So I, Stone Skin. Intercept. Also intercept. And, just, I think that was probably not the best choice, to be honest, but it's okay. This is a multi-shot that will damage everyone, which doesn't seem bad. This will actually do more damage to that one, because we just need to take that one out. Because that one is our healer. That one already healed. We just need to take that one out. I don't like it. Worried the leather M&M bag of holding I ordered is not going to arrive in time. Ooh. Unless you don't drink and didn't play RPGs till you were quite old. I have never had Crown Royal liquor, but I got a bag from someone else who did. So I was like, I want it, so let me have your bag. You know, you don't have to drink to get it. Let's cold this one, because it seems like it will do more damage. Yeah, dang it. Dang it. Well, you know, just doing what you have to do, I suppose. Okay, we have got some things we can do. I can Divine Grace me. That one. Then I'm going to heal myself. And then I'm going to flash damage our one in the back to maybe, I can't kill them, but that's sad times for me. And then we're going to give barriers to all the people who are not currently protected. And I feel like that's a pretty good turn. Also, these people are too fast. I don't like it. I lost my dice bag until I found it when I unpacked moving to my new condo, because it's the first time I've ever fully unpacked since I moved out of my parents. I need to fully unpack. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's a thing that I need to do. I would like to do it. Here, let's just kill that one. Feel good about that. And then I'm going to just go all stealthy. I'm not sure I'd risk M&Ms in a leather bag. Won't they melt and create a horrible mess? The whole point of M&Ms is not... Yeah, they're legally bound to melt in your mouth and not in your hands. They would never melt in your hands, because that would be like deception. They would never do that to us. They would never lie. So y'all, I have to tell you something. It's a kind of a big deal. I bought a new bicycle. Why did you shoot me with a gun? Why do you have a gun, and why are you shooting me? I don't appreciate that. It's fine, I guess. Let's fire blast that one. And let's grant. I like to grant healing to my. Here, we'll do it to our ranger. That might do something interesting there. So I bought a new bicycle, everybody. Especially especially with the heat North America seems to be having right now. Yeah. Did you get to ride of it anymore this week? So, well, now I'm singing Queen. That's fair. Killer Queen. The bag is in your hand, so they're off the hook. Oh, that's fair. I feel someone needs to take some M&Ms to Death Valley to see if they actually do. Did I listen to Midst my new bicycle? I listened to Midst. So, okay. I haven't listened to this week's Midst yet because I haven't been able to do like a good ride yet, but I will on either tomorrow or Saturday. So Curlin's right. M&Ms were made as emergency rations for snipers so they could get quick energy and not have melty chocolate hands. Oh. Queen has a song called Bicycle Race. Oh, I don't know that one. All right, so let me tell you about this bicycle and the process that I went through because it was like a whole thing. So, you know, I bought a bicycle when I was in Atlanta, right? And I got this bicycle, which is a specialized Crossroads 1.0 step through, which is like a hybrid bike. Oh, Trooper, I think you would like the soundtrack for the game I started. It's very jazzy. Oh, yes, I would like to. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Let's do some of that. Yeah, we're going to oh, well, we'll do this. Feeling good about it. Oh, Jer, I know that song. I know that song. I know the song. I did not. I know it from when I was a kid, so therefore I did not associate it with Queen, but I do know that song actually. Let's get Dispel Magic because that could be good. Let's get some electricity because I'm kind of electricity spec'd. Let's get a sprint. That doesn't seem bad. Let's grab this shield charge because that could be fun. Hybrid bike. So I bought a transformer. I did. So I got this bike and I rode it. We're gonna level up. Sure, leveling up is great. So I took it bike packing in Atlanta, and then when I got back up here in up to Massachusetts, I trained up and I did a metric century, which is like 65 miles, and then I also did bike packing up here. And I'm going to tell you that metric century was rough. I did it, but it was a little bit rough. And I was doing research. Arcadian Atlas. I'll find the link to the soundtrack. Oh, thank you. Yes, please do. And put it in the Discord. Before the game came out, they had a live listening party for the soundtrack. Autobot or Decepticon? Because I feel like Decepticon feels like a cooler name. Let's get the Wolf Guard. I like that. So I started doing research because I want to do another metric century. Hopefully before the school year starts. I don't know if I can do it, but let's hope. That would be really cool if I could get myself up to doing an actual 100 miles in one go, like a regular century. And I thought that would be really neat. Target shooting. You know what? Let's do that. That seems like I've not used that card before, but it gives people reduces their resistance to ranged weapons, and if you're damaged by other people, they get like you get to spy on them, and that seems really good. I like that. What if we spell it Autobot? Okay, that would make it sound cooler. Autobot. So 100 miles sounds like 99 miles too long. There's a song, 99 and a half, just not the 60s. Anyway, point being that I was doing research and I was like, oh, so this is the thing I think is really interesting. You know, when you are like, oh, I want to get into a hobby and I'm going to get like a good version of the thing. And so you buy something that you think is kind of expensive and like a good version of the thing. And then when you get into the hobby, you're like, oh, that is not actually a good version of the thing. It's just that there's like, let's see, what is this? This is elemental proliferation. And this here, we like enchant weapons. And this will let you do the next healing spell does 125%. Absolutely, that is an absolute we want. 100%. So we are here. We don't really have any money. So we should probably go to this. What does this do? The obelisk's influence is corrupting the monsters in this area. You can choose to fight them under the effects of corruption to increase the difficulty and gain additional rewards. So you can gain mirror images, or each hero can remove one card from their deck. Our decks are not super huge, and we're going to go with the mirror images. All monsters gain +1 damage and fire resistance, and when a monster deals damage, it also gets burning. Okay. So, oof. Oh, I should have removed a card from my deck because I've got some wounds in there. It's fine. It's fine. So, what I was going to tell you was, let us have this wolf guard on my healer. Let me intercept my mage. Let me defend myself. I don't need to deal with... I mean, I can use repair armor, might as well. Let's repair armor on my ranger. Okay. Oh, and in my opinion, these are probably the least interesting of the heroes. Oh, okay. Oh, well, I only just got that other healer, so I'm sort of new. Let's do let's do this falcon shot here. Let's do all monsters there. And let's also see what everybody's going to do, because it's good to see what people are doing. And what are you doing? Okay, you're damaging people. That's terrible. Also, you're going to hit people. Also terrible. And you'll entangle people. Also terrible. None of these things seem good. Don't like it. So the best of Soviet. Oh, good. Good. So I will give you a banjo example, right? You can buy banjos for like $50 or $100. And $50 or $100 seems like a lot of money, right? But it's also like those like the cheapest banjos you can get, and maybe you want to get like a better banjo. There we go. And let's do some
We're in the money.
elemental. Oh! Everybody. It's hot. It's sweaty. And we just got some bits from Atomica. And I think you know what that means. I love that new emote. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, Jer, you said you were going to make an animated emote. I think one of the ideas you had was to make an animated emote of the gambler, like the gambler sort of like transitioning to the stone jackal. I think that's one of the things you were thinking about, maybe. I don't remember, but there was something. I think it was game related. Yes, I remember. Because hey, everybody. So we have some emote slots, right? We have bit slots, and we have, I think we have like 8 bit slots, and maybe 5 animated slots.
Name game.
And then we have some standard slots. So we're like thinking about what we want to do for our emotes. And I remember now that we wanted to do some specific RPG related emotes, what we wanted to do that were like related to the RPGs that I'm running. So I don't know what they are yet, but that was an idea that we had, which was about like something for the gamblers, you know, something for Motor City, something like that was like, that was an idea we had, like some kind of RPG for the RPGs themselves. Oh, you're still working on it. Oh, you had a power outage and now you get a song apparently. Yes, you do. That is correct. I slapped out a challenge but didn't read it. Wait. Hold on. Where? Banjo, you're here. I am not seeing a specific challenge, Atomica. That said, don't forget about the banjo. I'm going to tell you. But as great thanks for those bits, I'm going to sing We're in the Money, as sung by Ginger Rogers from the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means I'm going to sing it in Pig Latin. Ostros is like Val stabbing someone, something like this. Just. What I like is that quite a few of the gamblers really have no problem stabbing people. Really. Actually, quite a few of the gamblers have no problem. A pot stirring emote. A pot stirring emote, I think, would be really good, actually. Terrica with a shotgun. Oops. See, Terrica would not stab someone. Now, shoot them in the back with a shotgun? Perhaps. Pot stirring. So, I'm going to sing it in Pig Latin. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Flames came down, the flames went higher, went down, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Here way in hay, the anime. Here way in hay, the anime. Eve way at gay, at way of wet, way, suited, gang long way, oh. Here way in hay, the anime. He the askes ruddy say. Old man did yes and pray, who you are, who you stand way hungry, oh. You ever need red lions lay, of red browns lay, who today. And when we see the end, the order will look like the eye got rid the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Thank you for those bits. I actually really like Folsom City Blues, and I feel like I want to teach a class called Music in Prison, and I want to teach that in the prison, and I want to have it be full of songs by people who had been incarcerated, or people who played in prisons, or songs about prisons and criminality. Like basically, or like that would be like, I want to create a brand new class. I'm going to sing something else, by the way. I want to create a brand new class about music and imprisonment. And we can do like work songs. We can do Johnny Cash, right, at Folsom Prison. We can do Barry White, because Barry White had been in juvenile delinquent, was like a juvenile delinquent. We could do like, there's like a bunch of stuff we could do. There's some like, there are a lot of different really interesting sort of songs about criminality, but we could also do songs like, there's a whole wave of like using rap songs as evidence to arrest people and put them in prison in legal trials. We could like do some of those songs. Yeah, so I want to teach a class on music in prisons, or music imprisonment, music and crime, and that song would be in there. Folsom Prison would be in there. I just want to let you know, it's one of the things I want to do. But also, Krellin. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Krellin, 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 Bobellin, banana, fanner, fo felon, fee, fi, mo, melon. Krellin the melon felon. The name game. Thank you for that resub. Not for the power outage. That's no good. I still want a pseudomote. Could animate it to count it. Oh, I need to write this down. because we were all thinking about this, right? So let me see. Where's my pen? Where's my pen? Emotes. Soon. Mm-hmm. Stirring the pot. Stabbing. That's what I'm gonna do right there. Yeah, yes, murder ballads, narco corridos. Absolutely, absolutely, right? Because I think all that will be really, really interesting. There are some like folk songs about being imprisoned out of Ireland. I think like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I really need to figure out Premiere. Oh, will you call it Jailhouse Rock? DSB. Now I have to. I wasn't going to, but now I have to. Now I have to. That's just apparently what has to happen. I killed Darnell Simmons. Yeah, I'm gonna steal $10,000 worth of melons. Also peaches. Uh, just a felonious amount of melons. Yes. Of course, between a rock and a hard place. Oh, that's a good one too. Curl is the guy in the math problems who buys an absurd amount of melons. Doesn't buy them. He steals them. He's a felon, a melon felon. Uh, I shot the sheriff. Yes, I shot the sheriff. So kind of feel like all like there's like a bunch of songs that like deal with criminality. Oh, the night the lights went out in Georgia. Jesse James. Yeah, and I think you could probably divide it up by different sort of genres, places, countries. But I think it'll be really interesting, right, to sort of think about music, but also like all the work songs that people who had been imprisoned on chain gangs would sing. Um, Yeah, so I actually think there's like a lot you could do with that that would be really, really cool. David Allan Coe, right? He had been in prison, so he's a bunch of prison songs actually as well. So like an outlaw country guy. The Clash, yeah. Weird Fruit in Georgia fit, I think so, but not the deputy. You cannot shoot the deputy. You're just trying to pin that one on me because I shot just shooting Sheriff Brown was ruled to be self-defense, right? There's kind of an annoying amount of merchant. Have a very annoying merchant that's always yelling about his melons, probably. Strange fruit. Yeah. So I think what is that? Okay. It's a zip tie. No, a twist tie. Twist tie. Yeah, I think it'd be a neat class to think about that particular topic when I steal them. Also, by the way, my melons. My melons. I also I've been thinking about how I think I might want to teach a class that is basically just on the 1960s, maybe. I think that could be interesting. I think let's attack this one. And then let's get some barriers up for people. Well, here we go. We're gonna have to just attack this monster a whole lot. So I was thinking about two things. I'm teaching the history of rock and roll next year, this coming year. Crone has Uncle Iroh's brother who watches out for him, but he keeps stealing my melons. Let me, right now, do some target shooting. Let us target shoot this one. And then let me camouflage all over the place. Does that not stack? It's good to know the Fire Lord. So, who needs cards? You might need cards by the time we get there. Let's charge some batteries. And let's end that. Oh, it's good to be the king. At a class in the 60s way back when, I remember we watched Dr. Strangelove one session. Yeah, I think, but let me be super upfront. I would really like to do a class on a bunch of decades. I wouldn't want to do just like if I could do anything I wanted, I would do like a class in the 60s. I do a class in the 20s. I do a class on the 70s. Yeah, there is that might not have been a good choice, but it's what I did. So yeah. Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to just do certain decades with like uh playroom on either side. Mostly because I'm going to we got to kill that one. Yeah, I Rissa would totally stop. And here's why. Oh, Atomica, go to sleep. If Jiro could do anything he wanted, he'd spend his entire life having conversations with cool people and also not eating those pesky mortal things like food. Oh, but I'd have food when I wanted. I'd have like just delicious food. Well, you would almost have to do a bunch with each covering different decade with the end showing how while the melody changes to yeah, the overall topic doesn't. And I think the reason why I think it would be really interesting to do a decades classes because here's the thing. Donuts. Hey, Grumbleskin, how are you? It is very cool. It's a really neat kind of uh it's a deck building roguelite. All of this, by the way, none of this is going to do damage to anyone. So let's do some protections of people, I suppose. Great. Um no, there's no oops. Grumbleskin, there's no scoops oops at all. What are these people weak to? They are weak to fire. Mac only? No. This should be both. I have it on Steam, and Steam never has. I don't think there's anything on Steam that is Mac only. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine it. So I'm going to guess that it is both for Mac and PC. Like it, I have a hard time imagining that it is not for PC also. That seems so unlikely. Do you know what I mean? Like it just seems unlikely. Let's kill those things. Yes. The Mac port accumulator. See, that's the way these things normally work, right? Showing how the folky murder ballads and the OJ gangster rap are very much the same. Absolutely. That would be really interesting. I think that would be really, really interesting. Let's see what we have. Let us do something like, let's grab a life tap. It could be bad, but risky. That seems like a thing that a Neo would approve of. Let's do some shining force. Let's grab some let's grab a shiv and let's get some more steel skin. That's what we're gonna do. Which brings us to our big boss monster, by the way. And let's see how we do in our boss monster. Well, we can. It's risky, but we can try to ambush him. This we're gonna try. Um, Ilmer's Awakening. The obelisk is in sight, but something very dangerous is blocking the way. Ilmer, an old treant once known as the protector of the Semnenthia forest, has awakened and been tainted by the energy emanating from the now active obelisk. Besides Ilmer, there is a Trunky and a Dryad protecting him. You can't see any way to avoid the confrontation, but maybe you can make the fight easier or worse depending on how you approach him. This challenge will be difficult, so what will you do? Well, we'll try to ambush. I don't know if we can make this 6 or above, but no, we failed. The Dryad has detected you trying to flank her. She casts a moonfire spell near you, causing some bushes in your clothes to catch fire. You can't stop to put out the fire, and you have to fight to defend yourselves. I bet we start on fire. We do. We start on fire. That's no good. Oh, Grumbleskin, you should check it out. It's, I mean, I say you should check it out. Maybe you shouldn't. It's a game that is quite fun, and that often means that, I stay in the game maybe a little bit too longer than I should. You know, you know. Uh, yeah, the art style is very, very cool. I think it's really well done, and I do like I do enjoy a deck builder. It's like a roguelike, so you play it multiple times. Try to play as long as you can before you die. All right, what is everybody at? You are. You have. They all seem to have anti-ice abilities. So let's. I'm gonna put myself in stealth and then just shoot people. Not bad. Not bad. I don't feel bad about that at all. It's their turn. It'll be bad. Uh, I am doomed by things that are too much fun. You have 120 hours, Artie? Oh, I do. I game past my bedtime. Um, so here's the thing about putting together a class. When you put together a big lecture class, like usually it's a big survey class, like the history of rock and roll or the history of jazz or queer pop, or uh, I'm doing American music in the spring. And those classes usually span huge numbers, huge amounts of time. Right. So, history of rock and roll, I start in 1945, which is a bummer because there's a bunch of American popular music from before 1945, which I'm not covering, and I really need to figure out how to deal with that. History of African American music, I start back in the 1700s and go to the present day. Uh, history of jazz, you're going to start in the 19th century. Uh, yeah, so for each of these, like, and of course, history of Western music is usually like a 3 semester survey, two to 4 semesters, and that goes back to like from ancient Greece to the present day, like huge surveys. Do you like American music? I like American music. I do. Also, Trooper, no spoilers, but oh boy, does the latest episode of Myths have an ending? Really? Ooh, my bedtime should be 2 a.m. It is often not 2 a.m., but it should be. I am going to send some fire at that one. I'm going to. I feel like they're kind of dangerous. I'm going to mana shield myself and then end that turn. What kind of music do you like? The kind with notes and instruments. By the way, I'm going to really quickly do some healing. Let's do a ray of hope on my healer person. Let's put a barrier on my scout, and then just do a little bit of smiting uh, on that front one. Less bedtime, more guideline is what I think. Yes. My bedtime should definitely not be midnight. Vulpes, midnight is so early. Who can do anything? Who can go to bed at midnight? That's just like midnight. Come on, that's madness right there. That's just not even. That's not even appropriate. That's not an appropriate time period. What was John Coltrane's best album? Oh, People Who Aren't Vampires. Oh, that's a good one. I really like his work with Dizzy Gillespie. Trooper at 11:30. I'm starting this 4-hour thing, but I'm sure I would go to bed early night, like by 2 a.m. So ideally, CR should be my late night. Right, that should be the night where I go to bed uh, a little bit later than normal. Like ideally, I go to bed at 2. That would be the ideal. I have not yet. I need to dial that back in. That is something that is not happening at the moment. Let me think. John Coltrane. I like John Coltrane. John Coltrane. I also like Alice Coltrane, actually. Um, mm, Coltrane. Let me think. Oh, My Favorite Things is really good. Probably My Favorite Things is probably one of my favorites. Although Live at Burland is really good. Ooh, Duke Ellington and John Coltrane. I like that quite a lot. That's a good one. Duke Ellington. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Mm. Love Supreme. Oh, Love Supreme. That's so good. Grumbleskin. A Love Supreme is so good. Oh, that's so good. That's it's really good. That's a really good album. It's a really good album. It's really good. Um, have I ever gone to bed at the ideal time? I have. I have. There was a moment when I was actually pretty good at going to bed at the ideal time. That moment has not been recently, but I have done it. It has happened in the past at some point. Uh, I'm going to give this person more cards because that means more healing. I'm going to kill this thing, and I'm going to give environmental protections to our big heroes. Um, yeah, his village vanguard. I really like Coltrane. I like him. I like his experimentalism. Uh, yeah, my bedtime is often worse in the summers. It sort of depends. Yeah, yeah. Then I buy Rebels and I sleep through. Yeah, school start for students here next week, but that's yeah. No, we don't have a. We're going to start in September. Is when we start at the very beginning of September, right after that holiday, Labor Day, Memorial Day. I feel like Labor Day. One of them starts the school year and one of them ends it, and I never remember which one. Which is probably bad, but I never remember which one. He's your favorite jazz? Oh, Grumbleskin. You have good taste. Thelonious Monk, nice. I like Monk. I like Monk a lot. Yeah. Uh, I'm gonna go old school on you. Picks or it didn't happen. That's fair. Of course, the styles are very similar, and you can see how they influence. Yes, but also I think that Monk is really like thoughtful. I also like Art Tatum. Um, I mean, of course, I like Miles Davis, but I also like Herbie Hancock. There's a bunch of singers that I really like. I love Betty Davis, uh, Sarah Vaughan, Mark Murphy. Uh, I I actually really like um, the Modern Jazz Quartet. I like Free Jazz. I think that's a great album. Today, birthday is Labor Day. Labor Day starts, Memorial Day ends. Thank you. It's Labor Day then. I always forget. Um, oh, those two together simply yes. Um, I only love Betty Davis for her eyes. I also love her for her eyes, right? You're a bebop kind of guy. So this is tricky because there are two things going on, right? Let's just find out what this monster's doing. Let us heal our ranger. Let's do some let's get that dried a little bit and let's hurt them a little bit. So here's the trickiness about bebop for me. I like bebop, right? But I often don't like bebop fans. There's a certain kind of bebop fan who's like it's very one true way. They're like bebop is the only real jazz, and they tell a history of jazz that only focuses on bebop. Like the people before bebop are only important insofar as they led to bebop. And once we get past bebop, we basically stop telling the history of jazz, and I don't like that. I think that like for me, bebop is cool as part. Like bebop is really interesting historically. I like the way it sounds. I like the historical, cultural, and political struggle that bebop was part of. I think that's super interesting, but I don't think it's cool to like, for example, a lot of like bebop centric historians will ignore all singers unless they sound like bebop, in which case they'll ignore them. They'll say they're not really jazz. I don't like that. They'll basically ignore big band unless it's Count Basie. They can't really ignore Duke Ellington, but they try. They'll ignore all the piano players, right? They'll ignore entire stretches of jazz history, right? Jazz history is pretty broad and has a lot of things in it, but there are some people for whom the only thing that matters is bebop, and then they basically twist history, and I don't like that. I like bebop, but I don't like twisting history. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't have bebop without big band, right? And you can't have big band without hot and cool jazz, right? Early smooth jazz, right? I like smooth jazz just as much as I like bebop, and I like flapper jazz, like 1920s jazz, just as much as like everything else. Yeah, I like to think of jazz in its fullness, and sometimes people just really want to like narrow it down, and that makes me quite sad because it's ahistorical. And it makes me sad. Boom. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. Oh no. Are you Grumbleskin? There is no derailing. Derailing is impossible. You cannot derail what has never been on a rail. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is fine. There's no such thing. They're right. There's no such thing as rails. Cowboy Bebop's is the only real jazz, though. Mm-hmm. Distractions or MO as a channel. It's all good. It is. It's true. Stick around long enough and you'll learn to take pride in being able to derail. Herbie Hancock Headrunners. Yes, yes, yes. There's been more gameplay tonight. Right? I did it. I want to do a lot of talking today, so I'm going to play Across the Obelisk because I don't have to think as much when it's happening. We're going to give ourselves some fiery weapons because fiery weapons will hurt that big tree. And I feel like that will be good. And let's just charge our battery. Let's who needs I feel like our healer needs an extra card. And I don't need to sure. I'll lose some HP. Attack that tree. I'm into it. Because our healer's up next, and I think we'll be fine. Oh, they're tied together. They transition. Yes, exactly, right? Grumbleskin, exactly. They tied together. They also play, like, almost all of those early beboppers played in big bands. Do you know what I mean? Like, they actually came out of big bands. And so for me to sort of be like, oh, that's not real jazz, and I was like, we don't need to do that. We just don't need to do that. There's no need. They played the same bands together, right? It's just that they were younger. The beboppers were like in their 20s when the big banders were like in their 40s. It's just a generational shift. We don't need to do that. Grumbleskin, I wanted to tell you, because you might find this interesting. Water. Let's heal, why don't we? And dispel some stuff. Let's heal our big tank. Let's heal our... Ooh. All right, let's focus heal our mage, who's being, what's the word? Risky. Let's grant a barrier to the healer, because we do want that. And then let's just do a little bit of a flash damage and move on. Yeah. And then bop transform into real experimental stuff into fusion. Yeah, hard bop, soul jazz, fusion. And who doesn't think, like, I mean, Bitches Brew is super cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm into all of that. How late are you going? Are you watching? I am watching Candela Obscura. I've not caught up, but I'm going to watch it anyway. I'm going to go till 9:30 so that I get a good 3 hours in. And then I will be here to do the Candela Obscura. So, hold on. What do we have here? We have got rapid fire is good. Let's just do that. That was good. That was very good. I'm appreciative of all the fire that's happening. Let us put this wolf guard on our scout. Let's intercept for our scout. Let's get enraged. Let's super defend ourselves and then do a quick fast strike and then move forward. Monk is definitely waiting until 7:30 to eat. That's fair. Okay, so look, Grumpleskin, I teach this class when I have time. It is dispel water. Let's not do that, but let us do some fire blasts because that is going to be worth money. And then let's I mean, this cold spark that's a waste of cold spark. We'll just drop it. So I teach this class, which is interesting because sometimes it scandalizes bebop heads, but they should know what they're getting into. And it is a class I call Music of the International Jazz Age. And it is jazz music from around 1915 to 1935. So like the 20-year span period from like 1915 to 1935, more or less. But each week is a different city around the world. So we start with New Orleans. We do I only get 13 weeks, which is the worst. It makes me really, really sad. And I feel like the first week you don't really get to do too much because it's a brand new week and you never know if people are going to do their reading. So we get like basically 12 real sessions. So we do New Orleans, Chicago, New York. I used to do 2 New Yorks, but I cut it down to 1 New York. Havana, Buenos Aires, Havana, rumba, Buenos Aires, tango, Sao Paulo, machixe, uh, yeah, Brazil, Argentina, Cuba. Then we do basically Martinique and the Antilles to do like the Beguine. Then we do Paris. We do like Paris and then the Parisian uh, colonies. London, Berlin, Paris, Tokyo, Accra. I think that's the 12. I think there's the 12 cities that I do. I added Accra as a new city. I would love to do Manila in the Philippines and add that one as a Jazz Age Manila because there's some good writing on it, but I don't have any music yet. I would love to do Barcelona. There's some good writing on Jazz Age Barcelona, but I don't have any music for that. I would love to do Jazz Age Moscow because there's some great writing on Moscow and the Jazz Age, but I don't have the music for that either. So I have to have the music or else I can't teach the city. But we go around the globe and we talk about what jazz meant to basically the jazz people, right? The jazz community, young people mostly, in the 1920s for the most part, and how, like, what jazz meant to those folks. Yeah, it's a class that I like very much. I'm going to shiv and then also hide. Yeah. I live in Kansas City for 30 years. Ooh, strong history. Yeah. I'm unaware of jazz from other cultures. Sounds like because here's the thing, right? So Grumbleskin, here's the thing that I think is really interesting, and one of the reasons why I do the course, because I'm going to just defend. Because what we think of, because jazz was always pretty international, but we kind of pretend like it wasn't because we are in a weird space. But jazz has always been international. I'm going to frost bolt that. I mean, like, they've got a lot of defense, but we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do that, and in that turn. So, because if you think about it, right? So if you think about New Orleans, work with me. Just work with me for a moment. But did it originate in the States? That is a hard question to answer. I will say yes. More or less. But that is, as an answer, that is somewhat deceptive. I think We did it. I just would like to point out that we beat our big boss. See, I'm being very productive. We're going to take let's take Overpower. That seems like a cool card. Sure, let's do that. Let's take Tedious Poem, even though I don't yet have a stanza. Let's take Grimoire of Flames and get some fireballs. Oh, let's get Prescription because that's going to be extra healing. So we definitely want that. That is a good thing to have. I don't want to offend, but wasn't it a black man's music first? Honestly, it was kind of late coming to jazz. So a lot of history I don't know. So this is actually really tricky. This is a tricky thing to answer. There's more than one answer to that question. There's more than one answer to that question. And that's a very difficult question to ask because how we define race now is not how people define race 150 years ago. So it becomes very, very tricky. If Trooper is being productive, I better be productive. So I'm off to produce some food for felines. Go produce food for felines. Oh, you absolutely asked it correctly. Absolutely. So that is the story that everyone is going to tell, right? That's the story. Jazz is a black man's music. And like, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. It's fine. It's a good enough answer, but it's not the answer I would give you. That's an answer that I think is fine, and I understand why people use that answer. And it sort of is true, but it's also sort of not true, but not in the way you would think, right? So the thing about jazz, right? So jazz starts in New Orleans, more or less. Starts in New Orleans. And the musical antecedents of jazz would be ragtime and blues. But we'll pause on that for a moment. So I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to finish telling you the story. The path is clear. Ilmer will never wake up again. A shame that a once tall and wise treant like him had to end this way because of the mysterious reactivation of the obelisk. Between Ilmer's roots, you see a large golden chest appear. You're one step closer to your objective. You open the chest. Inside the chest, you find some gold shards, but also a good amount of magic items that have long been forgotten, hidden between Ilmer's roots. Well, that's cool. I still feel like I have barely anything. Oh, nice. Okay. So, this I think is like, look, this is really, I think it's important and I think it's interesting. So I'm really happy I'm going to give the Shield of Thorns to our Magnus. I'm going to give the Forest Crown to our Ranger. I will give the Yggdrasil root to our Mage because she does not have a lot of hit points. And I will, yeah, I will give this better healing weapon to our healer. There you go. Bathroom, 45 seconds. Tell me when you come back. Tell me when you come back. Okay, we're in we have to just leave. Y'all, how productive have we been? How productive? We're going to play Disco Elysium next week, though. But I was just like, I want to tell you about my bike. I didn't even finish telling you about my bike. I'll tell you about my bike while Grumbleskin is on his way to the bathroom. The Synethia Obelisk. You find yourselves in front of the obelisk. After centuries of inactivity, it is now bursting with energy, and the runes engraved in the stone glow brightly. As you read the runes aloud, the walls of the obelisk warps and distorts, creating several portals. The time has come to cross the obelisk. Where will you go? There's a red, a green, and a blue. Cross the green portal from which a smell of stagnant water comes out. Let's do that, because my magic user is pretty good at electricity. You cross the portal, and before you realize it, you are already in another place. Oh, you're back. Good. What blackness is very different in New Orleans, primarily by how many times it changed powers in the 1800s and the slavery laws that went with them. Yeah. And so this is actually really, but it's also, there's also these really important cultural differences, right? Let me just read this. The Aquafall Marsh. The group went across the obelisk and in an instant found themselves in another place, far from Snethia's forest. One of the mysteries of the obelisk has just been revealed to them. In ancient times, the obelisk was used as a means of transportation, since reaching this land by road would take several days. They searched for signs the princess or Lord Handshake had been there, and found two pairs of footprints leading away from that area. The group looked to the horizon and saw that there was another obelisk in this area that was active. Undoubtedly, the princess and Lord Handshake had something to do with the activation of the obelisk. The next destination of the group was clear. So, if you know the famous Plessy v. Ferguson, that famous court case, which is the one where the courts ruled that separate but equal, right? That thing, and it was about, if you remember, it was Plessy was a. I'm going to tell you the story how it is told today. Plessy was a black man who sat in a, basically, this was in the 1890s, and you had, after the Civil War, there was Reconstruction where things were not particularly segregated, and then Reconstruction ended, and there was this big backlash, the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, lots and lots of like the rise of Jim Crow, and all of these sort of like racial laws, and they ruled that basically black people and white people cannot sit in the same train car. Black people have to sit in the back, and then Plessy sat in a white car, and then he was arrested for sitting in a white car. He sued. It went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, absolutely, that's totally fine. You can totally have segregated cars, right? That's the famous court case, right? Supreme Court case. But here's some things that you may not know. One, Plessy was from New Orleans, right? So this court case comes out of New Orleans, and Plessy. So this is also what gives us the one drop rule. So what's important to note is that New Orleans was French, was Spanish, right? Before it was English. There are a number of different people New Orleans was one of these big major port towns, right? So there were a lot of sort of migration in and out. It's a very, very international city. It always had been. And the Spanish and the French had different racial laws than the English. And in New Orleans, also at this time, this is a policy that was happening in South Africa, but we did it slightly differently. People who were Creole, who were part black, were not black. They were Creole. They were a different category. And they also had, like, you would be, if you were a quadroon, so 1/4 black, that was a different racial category. Octoroon, 1/8 black, it's a different racial category. So the Creoles were not black at the time and in that place. They were Creole. And there were black people, but black people were not Creole. They were separate. And these things, was this also what defined black into law, like combining Creole and Yale into blackness? Yeah, basically, yes. That also is what happened with Plessy v. Ferguson. Well, blackness was into the law. Blackness became a construct in the 1700s in the United States after some slave rebellions. But what Plessy v. Ferguson does is enshrines the one drop rule, where if you have like any blackness, you are all black, right? So like if you're any black, you're all black. That's what this does, right? This is what this law does. So it basically expands blackness. But before this, under these older systems, these were not the same group. These were not considered the same racial groups. And they were not the same culturally, right? So Creoles were Francophone and Catholic, and blacks were Anglophone and Protestant. So they had different languages, they had different musical and cultural backgrounds. They did not live in the same neighborhoods, and they didn't hang out together, right? They were not part of the same scene. And what's really important and interesting about this, thinking about the history of jazz, is that Creoles tended to read music. They read music. They had they'd had musical training that involved reading notation, playing a bunch of instruments, right? They had symphonies. There were like Creole symphonies and Creole operas, and they had a very sort of like what we call a literate musical tradition. And then the blacks of New Orleans did not. They did not read music. They often were not allowed to read at all because they had been enslaved people, while real Creoles had not been enslaved. So, like, the blacks had been enslaved, the Creoles had not been enslaved. There were so the blacks in New Orleans often they played from ear. They would do more improvising, and so you have these two different groups of people who have very different musical traditions, who are not the same race in the 1880s, right? They're very different. Also, very important to note, this is also a very important thing about New Orleans and jazz, that, and this is actually quite important for the history of a lot of things coming out of New Orleans, that because it was not English, it was not an English colony. One of the things that happened, like in the when was it, 1738, 1730s, I think it was, there was the Stono Rebellion, which was in one of the northern southern states, like Virginia, around there, North Carolina, South Carolina, one of those. There was the Stoner Rebellion, which was when it was a big slave revolt, and the enslaved people revolted, killed a bunch of folks, tried to get out. This was like in the 1700s, right? And the slave revolt was put down, and the slave owners just killed almost all the black people, cut off their heads, and placed them on the road and 1 mile markers so everybody could see what would happen if you did a revolt. 1739, thank you. I was close. I said 1738, I was close, 1739. But here's what was really important about the Stoner Rebellion. That if you want to understand the history of black music and therefore the history of like music in the New World in general, because of the Stoner Rebellion, one of the outcomes of the Stoner Rebellion was that enslaved black people were forbidden to use drums, because they use drums to coordinate. They use the drums to there's like a tradition called talking drum in West Africa, in Ghana, where because Twi and a number of West African languages are tonal, just like Mandarin is tonal. So you can actually sort of communicate language through drumming if you can do pitched drums. And so drums were used to coordinate the slave revolt, and then they outlawed the use of drums. So like black people could not use drums in the English colonies for the most part. And this is why Black American music sounds different than Afro-Caribbean music, or a lot of the sort of like Afro-diasporic music from the Caribbean or South America, from Spanish or French colonies, because they were still allowed to use drums, right? So there's gonna be a lot more, like when you think about like salsa, you think about like club, like all the rhythmic excitement that you're gonna get in Brazilian music and Cuban music. That's because the Spanish did not forbid their enslaved population from using drums, and so that drumming tradition sort of maintained itself. Yes, and so that's also one of the reasons why in Black American music you're gonna get the banjo, you're gonna get the bones, which I have here, but I've not practiced because I have no time, because my life is very, very sad, right? When you are going to get but using bones for percussion, or ham bone, doing ham bone, which I'm very bad at. My dad used to do ham bone all the time, but I'm not good at it. But like, ham bone would be body percussion. Right, so like playing body percussion, et cetera, et cetera. Different instruments, because you can't, so you're gonna get a lot of body percussion. A lot of the hand clapping games, right? It's coming out of the fact that drums were forbidden. So Black American music ends up taking, sort of black music from former English colonies ends up moving slightly differently than in other places. But New Orleans was not an English colony at the time, and they had a place called Congo Square, wherein the enslaved black people were still allowed to play drums. And as Jerem noted, they would do these weekly ceremonies. Every week they would go into Congo Square and they would play. And these drums are also sort of quasi-religious ceremonies. They would sort of do a ring shout, which is like it's a dance that's also sort of old African religions, right? And they would march around in the circle, they would play drums. So because they were allowed to continue to maintain their connections with their African African practices. Yes, Congo Square, right? That's one of the reasons why voodoo is in New Orleans, because they were not disconnected from their religion. And voodoo is basically just a syncretism between West African religion and Catholicism, right? And that makes sense because, again, not English colonies, right? But Spanish. So that's why, and a lot of the things that are happening in Black music that is really like funk. If you think about funk, which is like super rhythmic, you think it's James Brown, but James Brown went to New Orleans and got a drummer from New Orleans. If you think about the New Orleans second line drumming traditions, like the funeral tradition, that's a direct descendant from, right? So this Congo Square. So there's this particular kind of really intense rhythmic stuff that's happening in New Orleans that because New Orleans was not disconnected from drumming traditions in the way that the rest of the United States was. And please note, the rest of the United States, the enslaved Black people still had rhythmic traditions. They just couldn't do it through drums. They had to do it through their body or through bones or through tambourines or through other instruments, but they just couldn't do it with drums because it was forbidden. So you have these two populations of people who are considered different races, that are culturally different, that have musical differences, that don't live in the same neighborhood, that don't hang out with each other, the Creoles and the Blacks. And when we get Plessy v. Ferguson and the one drop rule and the sort of the real codification of Jim Crow, what happens is that court case and some others like it said, hey, you Creoles, because remember, Plessy was Creole, said, hey, Creoles, you all are Black now. Like, you don't get to sit in a white car. Because one of the reasons why Plessy did that was because he's like, I'm actually neither white nor Black, I'm Creole. Right? So I'm from a different category. So let's see what happens if I sit in this in this car and see what they do. What they did was like, oh, no, you're Black because you have, by the way, he passed for white. The reason why he was able to sit in that car was because he passed for white. He sat in, he sat down, nobody did anything. The conductor didn't do anything. They just let him pass. He was there for a couple like stops and he's like, hey, everybody, by the way, I'm Creole. And they're like, whoa, right? And they kicked him out. And so this law basically codified that all Creoles now become Black. They did not necessarily identify as Black, but what makes jazz, one of the things that really made jazz was that these two different groups of people were now identified as the same group of people. And so then these two groups of people come together and merge their musical styles. So you get, right, the uptown Blacks and the downtown Creoles coming together, mixing their different musical traditions and styles together. And also the end of the Spanish-American War. With the end of the Spanish-American War, you know, military groups have all these, thank you, Rissa, have all these bands, they have military bands. And New Orleans was one of the places where troops would be decommissioned. And so all these military bands would be decommissioned in New Orleans, and then they would sell their instruments to pawn shops. So there's all these cheap brass instruments, all these cheap band instruments in New Orleans that people in New Orleans then picked up. So there are all these cheap military instruments forming bands. It's a port city, so there's a lot of brothels and nightclubs that need music as entertainment. So there's a lot of places to play. And then both the Blacks and the Creoles come together to sort of create this sound. And so jazz, you can say now it's a Black person's music, sure. Except that at the time, it was actually about the coming together of two different groups of people under one category that hadn't been that category before. Also add into this a lot of Cubans, a lot of Mexicans, a lot of people from Haiti, because there was the Haitian Revolution and a bunch of people escaped Haiti and comes to New Orleans. And there's a lot of Cuban musicians in New Orleans as well. So you can think about jazz as being this, in many ways, it's like an Afro-diasporic music that all comes together in this really sort of complicated and really sort of amazing space, right? That is New Orleans. There's one of the very first written down blues songs is St. Louis Blues by W.C. Handy, which of course many jazz groups do. And that song is a blues like we understand it, but it's like one section is a blues and the other section is a habanera, which is from Cuba, right? So jazz is kind of like it's a bit more international. Was it made in New Orleans? Yes. But are the people that made it also from Cuba and Haiti and Mexico? Yes. And is it a Black person's music? Yes. But it's also the story of how people of how we redefined blackness at the turn of the century. So it's just a bit more, it's a bit more complicated than the story we tell now, if that makes any sense. Which I just think is super, super interesting. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that Uptown Girl is really about jazz. Yeah. Also, a lot of the children of the slavey master relations were freed in the French colonies. Yep. So there was a third. Yes. It's a melting pot of music. Yeah, absolutely. And also, this is important that one of the differences is that in the British chattel slavery system, if your parents were enslaved, then you were enslaved. Whereas under the French codes, the Code Noir, which was their rules about this, if your mother were free, you were free. You were not, the children of somebody who was enslaved was not automatically enslaved. Also, I think if basically one of your parents was a French citizen, then you were a French citizen. You were not automatically enslaved, whereas in the United States, you were automatically enslaved. So, because one of the things about slavery in the British system is that, you know the cotton gin, right? I've got what, 12 minutes? The cotton gin, right? And you know how they say, oh, the cotton gin was so great because it used to take like 10 hours to process 1 pound of cotton, but then you could process 10 pounds of cotton in 1 hour. And that just made everything more efficient. Isn't that great? Except that then the enslaved people had to pick 10 times the cotton they had before. So actually the cotton gin was like really bad for enslaved people. Sure, they didn't have to spend as much time separating the cotton, but they had to pick way more cotton. Like the productivity went through the roof, but it was really bad for the enslaved people. And here's the thing: at that point in time, the British had already outlawed the slave trade right through shipping channels. And I think it was also mostly illegal in the United States. Shipping slavery from overseas, I think, was mostly illegal in the United States. So you couldn't get new enslaved people from overseas anymore. Technically, although they still did. They still did. So how do you get new enslaved people? By forcing them to have sex with each other and have children, or just raping them, right? And so because any child of an enslaved person is an enslaved person, i.e. property that you can then sell and use and make profit off of, right? It was in the best interest of this system to imagine that any black is all black, and all black and any black is enslavement, because that allows you to basically get more slaves when you can't necessarily buy them from overseas. It was pretty awful, but that's not the French policy. The French policy was that if one of your parents is French, and same thing with Spaniards, then you were not enslaved, right? So there's a different system, and that then led to different social setups. Yeah. Odd question: Did jazz grow out of blues or the opposite? That's a great question. Tripper loves talking about blues, so for a full answer, you should pose a question in Discord. Oh no, yeah. And I love talking 1700 history. Jer, that's such interesting history, right? So getting slaves from overseas wasn't illegal. It was more that other countries had no expedition clause when it came to slaves. Well, I think there was a moment, was it the 1830s? I think it was the 1830s when the U.S. outlawed the slave. There was 1830s or 40s. The British did, and they would actually just blockade people. So the British were using their ships to go and mess people's stuff up. But I believe the U.S. outlawed the transatlantic slave trade much earlier than they outlawed slavery. But Florida was not a state of the Union, so they would often just bring them in through territories rather than actual states. Yeah, that's right. Basically, after the 1830s, only slaves could be the chattel slaves. So, but they could often do it by just bringing the slaves into one of the territories that weren't states yet, so they could get around it. The last person, his name was Cudjoe Lewis, and he was the very last person who was brought over in the Clotilda. It was a slave ship called the Clotilda, and people think it was the last slave ship that came onto U.S. soil, and he died in 1935. So in 1935, we still had people who were directly stolen from Africa and brought to the U.S., still alive in 1935 when jazz was being made, right? So you can think about those connections, right? But the thing about what comes first, jazz or blues. So it's important to note that jazz was not a genre. It was not a noun. It was a verb. It was a practice, not a genre. Blues was a genre and ragtime was a genre. Both blues and ragtime are fairly late genres. They're not particularly old. They're sort of basically being developed at the end of the 19th century is when it's happening. Ragtime was also a verb before it was a noun. Right, with ragtime, you would rag music. You would take marches and you would rag it, which is about syncopating it. And then the blues was mostly a form and a style. But really, it's not that old, but neither one of them is particularly old. Jazz is a practice. You would jazz up music, right? Jazzing up basically means you're going to improvise on it. You're going to syncopate it more. Ragtime would often syncopate on the right, the melody, but not the bass. And then jazz is going to basically syncopate everything. So when you're going to jazz up music, you have to have music to jazz up, right? And what the musicians would do is they would jazz ragtime songs and blues songs. So they would take blues songs and ragtime songs and they would jazz them up. And then over time, we just called the whole thing jazz. But it was a practice of improvising and syncopating over pre-existing music, and that music, the music that they would pick was jazz and was blues and ragtime. And over time, they kind of dumped the ragtime, and then they just sort of kept on with the blues. But so I wouldn't really say that one came out of the other. I would say that one is a practice that used one of them, right? Jazz was a practice that used as its base blues and ragtime, or anything they could get, really, you know? One of the few things Ben Franklin managed to accomplish politically. Yes, it's true, actually. I have got 6 minutes. I want to, while we're here, see if there's anything interesting. No, I can't upgrade anything right now that I don't want to upgrade anything. But I've got a little bit of money. I feel like we might as well just buy some equipment while we're here, see if we can get anything interesting. Because maybe we can. What is this? A cold book. That seems good for my mage. Should have that. My ranger should... I don't have any more money. Oh, well. But, yeah, no, I don't have any more money. That's sad. Oh, hey, look, this is I don't have any money for that. But that would give me taunt, and I really want taunt. I want this hourglass of death. I can get more money. I don't want to do it, but I can do it. I can do it. That said, here, hold on. We're going to save the game because it's that time. I'll ponder it. I'm going to ponder. Save. Accept. Great. Boom. Quit.
Name
Okay.
game.
The name game. Come on, everybody. Pictures of an exhibition. That's also really good. That's also really great jazz piece. That's by that's by give me a second. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Is that Davis? I mean, everybody did that one, right? Picture at an exhibition. I feel like that was... Give me a second. It was... Stravinsky did one. Yeah. But I don't want that one. I don't want the Toscanini. I want not the Emerson, Lake and Palmer. There's a famous version. I can't think of it right now. Lost my mind. Not the Emerson, Lake and Palmer. What time is it? Is it time of the sprockets? Then we dance. It is the time. Zeal Zaddy. Hey, Zeal Zaddy. I have to tell you something that's really quite important. I don't know if you know this. By the way, everybody, Zeal Zaddy, no, Zeal Zaddy is getting his name game right now. But I just want to shout out Zeal Zaddy because Zeal Zaddy does a wonderful podcast And I was on the podcast, and I might be on that podcast again. Well, stream. That's not even how you do that. Hold on, streamer. Zeal Zaddy. Yes, check out Zeal Zaddy. They do really they do streams, but also very cool talk shows. So hey, Zeal Zaddy, I have to tell you something. It's really important. I hope you're ready for it. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. But then a B or an F, on M will appear. And then I say boo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Zeal Zaddy, bo, Beal Zaddy, banana, fanner, fo, feel Zaddy, fee, fi, mo, meal Zaddy. Zeal Zaddy, the name game. Woo! Thank you for that sub, Zeal Zaddy. How are you doing? That is so cool. Yay! Yay! Oh, so excited. Yes. I sent somebody your way. Somebody I know will have DM'd you on Twitter about something. Look for it. If they have not DM'd you yet, look for it. But a one shot. So you often look occasional hop in comments. You got it. Yeah. You know when you've got friends that you've known for like a billion years, and then you're like, oh wait. Oh, you did that and that? Oh, wow, right. I sort of forgot that some of my friends have done some really big things. Anyway, he's got a new RPG out, card-based, super indie, kind of cool. And he was like, I'm looking for people who would like maybe want to do a one-shot. And I was like, I know some cool people. I'm not going to hook you up with anybody who's uncool, but I'll give you the contact information for some cool people. So I gave him your contact information because, I was like, okay, who would be like cool with doing like a card-based indie RPG that's kind of story heavy? Who do I think does good work? Who do I think like cares about like diversity and representation and does like good stuff? Yeah, let me throw some names out his way. So, yeah, your whole chat. Well, that's true actually. That's why I like, everybody in my chat is so cool. I've got hype for my folks. So, y'all, we have to go, but we do have something to do first before we go that I'm very excited about. Krellin, you are also cool. You do not get to pretend not to be cool because you are cool. I'm just going to say it. Where is my reward queue? Because this is a thing that we're going to do before we go anywhere. Because we have, I believe, 3 song requests. And I'm allowed to, so we have a thing that I started doing where it's a challenge. You can spend your channel points, to give me a word. And then I have 10 minutes to try to come up with 10 seconds to try to come up with a song that uses that word. And the point is to see maximum of 10 on a Thursday to see how many of them I can get. I've been terrible so far. It is very difficult. Replace yours with doo-wop. No, but by the way, we are going to do a giveaway. So just make sure you've said something in the next 5 minutes, because after I do the song challenge, then I'm gonna, do the giveaway. So let's see what we have here. Our giveaway, by the way, is going to be the Biomutant, which is an action RPG. That is going to be our giveaway, but that's going to be for after we do our song challenge. You don't have to pretend. No, it's fine. And if you want to put in another song with your channel points, you can do it, because I'm going to start right now. And let me get our, where's our countdown? Okay, here's our countdown. I've got 10 seconds for each of these, and we currently have three choices. The first one is Donut Maker from Rissa, who says that I should replace it with doo-wop. So let me think. Okay, and we're gonna start in now, 10 seconds. The problem is there are a lot of doo-wop songs, but all of them have the word doo-wop in them. And I'm finished. That was 10 seconds, and I did not get it. But there's like a lot of them, like, but I don't think Who Put the Bomb has it. I don't think, doo-wop, 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 doo-wop. That's the one. It would be, don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Doo-wop, 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 doo-wop. Which actually is not a doo-wop song, but there you go. That's one. Actually, Vopus, I think that's doo-wah ditty, not doo-wop ditty. So I think that actually doesn't count. It should be 30 for the first one and then 10 for each subsequent. Okay. 20 seconds? Can I have 20 seconds? We'll try 20 seconds, because I feel like I have that one in 20. 20 seconds. 40, let's go. Snack. Snack. Got Sex and Candy by Marcy's Playground. That doesn't have it in there. Snack. Nope. Didn't get it. But I got one. All right. Snack. Zeal Zaddy, that's doo-wah ditty, not doo-wop ditty. Doo-wah ditty ditty dum ditty doo. So that one wouldn't count. Neither would do ron ron. That's the problem. There's not a lot of doo-wops, actually. But I feel like Don't Mean a Thing actually is a doo-wop as opposed to a doo-wah. It's tricky, right? I did not get Snack. That's the worst. Snack. Nope. Okay. And our last one is Risky. I didn't get it. 20 seconds are gone. The Snack that smiles back, Goldfish. I only got 1 out of 3. See, the problem is around, that's what I see. Zeal Zaddy, that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, Old Time Rock and Roll doesn't have it. I was like, okay, maybe there's like because I feel like, I was like, there's probably like a late 70s, early 80s rock song that has Risky in it. And I was like, okay, something like maybe by like Rod Stewart, I feel like, or like Bryan Adams. Like, I'm like, there's got to be a Risky in there. Like, I feel like there's like a, like, you know, like, I feel like Bryan Adams, maybe John Cougar Mellencamp has Risky in it. Like, I just feel like there's a song right in that area that has the word Risky in it. Nigerian rapper Ms. Banks has a song entitled Snack that definitely has Snack in the lyrics. Snack. Aqua by Barbie Girl by Aqua does not have Snack in it. Oh gosh. Risky. It's risky. That's tricky. It's tricky to rock around on time. It's tricky. No, that's not risky though. Risky. Get a little risky. Wait. Yes, I got it. Get a little risky, baby. Honey, that's my favorite part. This is Bonnie Raitt. If we get through it, babe, gonna give up our hearts. Well, there's no turning back this time. There's no turning back. There's no use in running. It's always the same. The phrase, we're gonna get into it, babe. Down where it's tangled and dark. That's the same song, Tangled and Dark. No, babe. Way on into it, baby. Down where your fears are apart. Gonna get a little risky, baby. Baby, that's my favorite part. So I got one way too late though, but I did get one. Bonnie Raitt, Tangled in Dark. Got one. But it was way after the 20 seconds. I should probably give myself 30 seconds until we get better. Yeah. Feel like you need some kind of limits on the song pool you can draw on because you know so many that any song takes literally a minute to even finish running through possibilities. Stack Attack! But I got one. Bonnie Raitt, Tangled in Dark, has the word risky in it. It wasn't in 20 seconds, but at least I got it. So that's like a week, 2 out of 3, perhaps, maybe. I feel like, okay, here's the thing though. Next week, next Thursday, we'll get more and we'll just see what words we get next week for our song association. Also, sometimes people just throw out words without having answers. That's true. That's true. But you can see what you can do. It's also interesting to see like what songs like. So Bonnie Raitt and also Cab Calloway. There you go. That's what you got for me today. We're gonna do our giveaway. It's gonna be Biomutant, the action RPG, and we're gonna see who our winner is. Also, you all are so great. By the way, I may be on Zil Zaddy's channel sometime in October, but I'm not going to confirm or deny it. That is not his spell winner. Valtiel! Valtiel, I would like to give you Biomutant for fun and profit. Valtiel. While Valtiel is about to say, yes, please, give that to me, I will say this. There's like $100 banjo, and it turns out that, woo, Valtiel, I'm gonna send you the code. You're welcome. It makes me happy, you know? It's like one of those things that gives me joy in the world. Valtiel. So you buy a $100 banjo. If you get a $100 banjo, it is not going to be a good banjo. It's going to be a very, very bad banjo. So I did not buy a $100 banjo. My very first banjo, this is my bicycle, by the way. My very first banjo was a $700 banjo, which I thought was like super fancy and because it's $700. And like, I almost never spend more than $150 on anything. So I got this $700 banjo, and I'm playing it for a couple of years. I go to get private lessons with a professional banjo player who's like, this banjo's not a good banjo. And it's like, but it's a $700 banjo. And they're like, yeah, this is not a good banjo. You need to get a better banjo. I was like, okay, how much do better banjos cost? And he says, well, like $3,000, like $3,000 to $5,000 for a banjo. He's like, well, I mean, like really, really top of the line banjos are $20,000, but you can get a really good banjo for $3,000 to $5,000. And I was like, oh my God. But I did have student loan money, and he went to a big banjo conference, and he was able to get me a $5,000 banjo for $2,000. I pick up this $2,000 banjo, I play it, and I play cleaner, faster, and better immediately. And I was like, how does this even work? How come this banjo just plays so much better? That's so wild. So the point that I was going to say is about like when you are not in the hobby yet, you might think that this price point is what is a good thing in that price point. But once you get in that hobby, you realize actually, no, it is not. It's just that there are some things that are super crappy. Yeah. Yeah, a good banjo does cost as much as a good computer. When I think about the things that I own that are expensive, I don't own many expensive things. I own computers, banjos. Like it's musical instruments and computers is basically the only thing I have that is expensive, except now this bicycle. So I went and I was looking for a bicycle. And you could get like a bicycle for like $50 or $100 from Walmart. And I was like, but I bet that's not really good. So I went and I got a $650 bicycle from when I was in Atlanta. And I was like, $650? This is like, it seems like a good company. This is gonna be really good. So I'm riding it. Good times. And I want to do this 100-mile ride coming up sometime before the snows come. And I did that 65-mile ride on my $650 banjo bike. It was rough, but I did it. And I was doing my research, and you know what? As it turns out, a $650 bicycle is not a great fancy bicycle, as it turns out. As it turns out. So I went to the bike store last week and I got a more expensive. I did not go like $20,000 Tour de France bicycle, but I went and actually got a more expensive bicycle. I was like, oh my gosh, and this is a bicycle that has the pedals that you clip into, which I've never done before, and it's got the drop handlebars, the kind of handlebars that look like little like U's. Also, I don't need that soon there anymore. Whoop. Soon we're ending. And right, so you hold it completely differently, and the seat's much higher. It's like a totally different sort of body thing. And I went last week and got the bicycle fitted to me, which took 2 hours, where the person was like watching me ride, adjusting each thing so that like it would fit my body mechanics. And I was like, okay. Turns out I had to go back in this week on Wednesday, which is why I haven't listened to Midst yet, because my hips are asymmetrical enough that they had to actually pull one pedal out further than the other, because otherwise it was messing with my ankle because my hips are weird. Oh, it does live in my apartment. Yeah. And I rode the bike. I rode the bike last week, like a 12-mile ride. I'm going to go a 12-mile ride, and I was riding it and I felt really awkward. And I felt like I've not been in these clips before. I'm afraid I'm going to fall over. And like, I'm trying to figure out how to steer with these new handlebars. And I felt really slow. And I did my 12-mile ride. And I normally do that 12-mile ride. And like at like my average speed's like 11 miles an hour, about like almost 12. And I did this ride in the new bike that I was like, oh, I bet this is really bad because I feel so awkward. I feel so slow. I feel so like unfamiliar on this bike. I just felt like it's probably getting like really bad. And I did 14 miles an hour on this brand new bike that I still was uncomfortable with, that I still hadn't really gotten used to yet. I was 2 miles an hour faster than with this bike that I've been riding for like almost 2 years that I know really well. And so it turns out that it does matter. Like that more expensive bike is actually better. It allows me to use my glutes more to ride rather than just my quads. Like it's just a better bike, and I did not even realize it. Right. So there you go. 2 miles an hour faster. Right. I hope this new bike lives in your apartment. It does. Both my bikes live in my apartment. They do not live outside. And my hips do lie. So, and I have gotten more used to the clips. I'm still having a hard time clipping in on my right, to just finding the right spot to clip in, but I'm not falling over at stoplights. I only fell over once. That's because there's a baby near me and it freaked me out. I had clipped out. I stopped. I should not have fallen over, but there was a baby and I was like, baby! I fell over. And because I was afraid that I would hit the baby. So I fell over. But that was only once. I'm fine. Because I was at a stop. But I'm more used to the clips. I'm clipping in and out pretty easily. I'm clipping out really easily. It's just clipping in at a stop sign, which gets me a little bit. And I'm getting more familiar with the handlebars. It's really good. Yeah. Like there was a baby there. It was like a baby was like on a bicycle just sitting there. And I was like, baby. All right. I have to go. I want to thank everybody for being here and like watching. So here's what's what. I want to give you the skinny. Tomorrow I will not be streaming because I have got an offline stream that I have to do, and that's the only time I can do it. Saturday I will be playing The Outer Worlds because we're going to finish that game real soon so I can play Rain World. No Carousel Court on Sunday because we're in our break between arcs. Monday will be Montreal by Night. I will get up in my makeup. We will see if my face is revealed yet. It hasn't been yet, but we will see. It might be. It's entirely possible that it will happen. I'm not certain. We will see. My character, unfortunately, does not have Mask of Many Faces, which makes hanging out a little bit awkward. What new game am I going to play? So I'm playing Disco Elysium on Thursdays. So this Thursday, I will be playing Disco Elysium. But we've got Vampire the Masquerade on Monday at 8:30 p.m. over at Wandering DM's channel. Motor City Hollow Crown, which is a Vampire the Masquerade campaign set in 1973 Detroit, on my channel, 7 p.m. on Tuesday. And then next Thursday, you'll find me playing. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I have got to get my Gen Con schedule, which I do not yet have. I'm modding for Gen Con. So I may not be streaming on Thursday, but I should be streaming on Friday. I believe I've got Friday evening stream free, so I can stream on Friday. So I'll stream something cool, some kind of RPG. It'll be good. Okay, I gotta go. You'll be Zeal Zaddy, I'm not actually going in person. I'm staying here. I'm a remote moderator for the remote streams. So I'm gonna go and be here in my apartment, sitting behind the computer for like 8 hours, streaming. Not streaming, but modding the streams to make sure that there's no ridiculousness in the chat. That's what I'll be doing. Okay, y'all. Critical Rolls Up is going to be Candela Obscura. If you want to watch it, hang out with us on Discord, because we've got a Discord and we like to chat there. So hang out with us there. And also follow me at Trooper SJP here on YouTube, Academic Foxhole on Twitter, Trooper SJP on Blue Sky, Blue Square, Academic Foxhole on Patreon, and I will see you all. I'll catch you on the flip side, i.e. in about 12 minutes for Candela Obscura, and I will see you on Saturday for the Outer Worlds. Okay, bye everybody. Goodbye. Ciao.